Hey guys, so we're back again with another reading, and this one is all about your 2022 forecast for the rest of the year. So we're going to see what's going to be going on in this latter half of 2022, what you have to expect, what Spirit wants you to know about the final stretch of this year. And a lot of you guys were requesting this one, so I'm really excited to get into it and see what Spirit has to say. And if you like this reading and like how I read tarot, you'll definitely want to check out my additional readings over at my Patreon, link in my description for that. I just posted an extended reading for the Why Are You Sexy video, and we get into some really fun details that we couldn't really cover on YouTube. So check that one out if you liked that reading and want a little more clarity. And there's a ton of additional readings over there, from love readings to career to spirituality readings. So there's a lot of stuff you guys might enjoy. So definitely check it out if you want to join us over there. And if you really like how I do my readings, you might want to get a private reading with me. I think I have a couple slots left for the rest of the month. So go to the website, link in my description, briarrosetarot.com, if you want a one-on-one session with me, and we will get you in there. So with that being said, today we have a beautiful selection of different cakes and little desserts for you guys to choose from. You might already feel drawn to one, and if you do, that's totally fine. You can skip ahead to that pile. If it's your first pick a card reading, you want to go towards the one your energy feels drawn to and called to. Don't overthink it too much. It's often that first one you're going to feel drawn to, and just go with it and trust the process. So with that being said, I'm going to show you guys the numbers on each of the piles. So we are starting off with pile number 1, then we have number 2, number 3, and number 4. So if you guys need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we are going to go ahead and jump into pile 1. Hey, pile 1, so if you guys picked this pink cake, this is going to be your reading. So on the top, they've decorated it with little pieces of fruit. There's a pineapple, a little peach slice, or maybe a papaya slice, a walnut, and a little blackberry complete with the stem. Then on the side, it's crusted with little bits of coconut, and it's actually pink coconut, so it might be strawberry coconut flavored, and little dollops of whipped cream on the top. It just looks super good and perfect, like you would be so excited to see it in a bakery. You guys got the 8 of Pentacles reversed, 10 of Swords, 5 of Cups, the 2 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups, the Death card, 9 of Swords, and the 6 of Wands reversed. So some of you guys are going to be leaving behind a job, and I also feel like there's a mentality that some of you guys have been living under, and it might have to do with like having to work super hard, or this idea that like you have to be working all the time, or even that you have to live your life a certain way under a certain paradigm that's going to be leaving you guys this year. And I feel it's going to change a lot of your guys' decisions. I do feel this is a major transformational energy coming in. We did get the Death card. So this feels like it's going to be a big ending for you. It feels like it's not just going to be like, I'm just going to move jobs, but I work at the same kind of field. It feels like it would be a major move, maybe even switching careers entirely. It could also be a move like moving where you live or changing locations, but it feels like it would be a big deal. It does feel like you guys are going to be reassessing your priorities and really making changes with maybe how you earn your money or what you do with your life outside of work. Because I feel like some of you guys, you've been working really, really hard, but it's almost like you haven't seen the payoff yet, and there might be a way to reassess whatever you're doing and find a way to do it better. Or it might not have to do with work. It might have to do with a certain like lifestyle or a certain belief you have about the way you have to live your life. So like you believe that in order to be successful, you have to wake up at 6 a.m. every day and start the day with coffee and work out for an hour, but maybe that's not really you, and maybe you're a night owl, and maybe you don't actually want to work out that much, and maybe you want to cut it down to a couple days a week, and you can still be healthy and feel good, but you just want to change that up a little and go a little bit easier on yourself. I feel like some of you guys have been tied into certain beliefs, and they're all falling away for the rest of this year. But again, it feels really positive to me. And I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be stepping towards things that you really enjoy And a lot of this is stuff that has caused you pain and suffering. We did get the 9 and 10 of swords. So it's almost like you're stressing yourself out. And why? And what's the reason? And I feel like if you traced it back, a lot of it would be because of ideas you have of what you have to do. Like, I have to live this way. I have to do that. If I don't live that way, things will fall apart. If I don't act this way, if I don't have this kind of a job, if I don't live in this kind of location, then everything's going to be a big mess and a disaster. And I feel like you guys are going to really investigate this idea and realize that you're not limited to any of that. And you can literally live your life however you want, doing whatever you want. And I feel like very soon that's going to become clear to you. There's going to be some major change or impetus of change for you in your life, possibly changing jobs. It could be even something like being fired, but I'm not necessarily sensing a cataclysmic event or some horrible thing. I just feel like some of you guys might be resistant to this change, again, because of the belief you have that there's one way to do things, that my life has to look like this. I keep hearing have to. So I feel like a lot of you guys have this idea that there's really no choice in the matter, that you have to do things this way, and kind of like a window or a door is going to open up that's going to take you out of it. It is a big change. I am seeing you guys definitely leaving something behind, and I do feel like that thing, even though in the moment you might be like, oh my God, I can't give this up, you're going to be really, really happy about that. And I feel like also some of you guys are putting off certain things you want to do because you keep looking towards the future. Like, one day I'm going to live that way. One day, once I reach this point, once I make that amount of money, once I have this promotion, I'm going to feel good. I'm going to live a happy life. And I feel like Spirit is saying, no more waiting around. The time is now. And Spirit is going to reposition you into a position where you're going to be happier in your day-to-day life, not working for the weekend, not working for, okay, well, eventually I'm going to be happy, but like, what makes me happy in this moment? Because I can see that there has been this pain and suffering with the 9 of swords and the 10 of swords, and that is going to be coming to an end. The stress, the tension, a lot of that is being caused by your idea that you're stuck in this situation, that you don't have a choice. And Spirit wants you guys to know how much choice you have. So I do feel like this situation is going to be ended. And what's coming to my mind is the metaphor that Teal Swan made, who's such an amazing spiritual leader. And she said, you know, it's kind of like when your boat, there's a hole in your boat and you see it filling up with water. You can either choose to keep bailing the water out as it just keeps refilling itself and getting more and more full and slowly sinking, or you can just be like, okay, this boat's over, and gently step out onto like the dock and have that time to maybe paddle back to the dock or paddle to another boat and, you know, make sure that everything's cool. But when we try to stay in a situation that we know is on the way out, that's when like the chaos tower moment can happen. And you guys didn't get the tower. So again, I'm not seeing that this is going to be some kind of horrible catastrophic event. I just feel like it could go easier if you guys embrace it. And if you take away the fear and the feeling like, again, I have to do it this way. If I don't do it this way, it's not going to work out right. Some of you guys have had some real hopes and dreams, but you keep thinking it's like a pipe dream. Like, oh, well, other people do that, but I could never. Or I know someone did this and I'm fascinated by like this kind of career, but I could never do that. Or I'm fascinated by this country, but I could never move there. Or, you know, that kind of a thing. I'm fascinated by like this kind of animal, but I could never adopt one as a pet, you know? And it's like, yes, you can. You can do whatever you want. You're going to realize how much power you guys have, and that this is not your practice lifetime. And if you're doing something that doesn't bring you joy and happiness, then what's the point? What I'm getting a metaphor, what they're showing me is like a woman who's like afraid to go on the beach because she is unhappy with her body. And she's like, I'm just going to wait until I lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds. And it's like, she looks back at those pictures 10 years later or 20 years later or 30 years later, and she's like, what the heck was I thinking? Oh my God, I was worried about my body. I looked incredible. And she also is like, I wish I had just gone out there and done it for the sake of me, regardless of how my body looked, regardless of what anyone else thought. I wish I had like put my toes in the sand and felt the water and felt sea breeze against my bare skin and enjoyed my life for me. And I feel like there's a message that some of you guys have had ideas put in your head by like parents, family, other people, that you have to live your life a certain way. You have to fit into a certain paradigm. And maybe that there's certain limiting beliefs around money as well. Like if you're not working hard, you're not going to make money. Money is hard. Money is scarce. Or, the only respectable careers are X, Y, Z, like doctor, lawyer, whatever. I don't know what the third would be. Maybe like banker or something. I don't know. And everything else is, kind of embarrassing or something. And now I feel like you guys are going to start unpacking and think, well, why do I think that? How does this benefit me? Are those my beliefs? Did I absorb that from someone else? And so I feel like because of that, a lot of you guys are going to be choosing to leave this behind. And maybe other people would be happy with this situation, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe you have other dreams and have other visions. And I feel like it's okay for you to embrace that. You need that permission to know that it's okay. And so that might be where this event happens, like you getting fired because you never would have had the bravery to quit, or like you moving because your roommate is like, sorry, I have to kick you out. Like my boyfriend needs to move in and he needs your room or something. And you're like, what? This is crazy. Like, this is horrible. But it ends up being such a positive, and you end up looking back and being like, oh my God, I'm so happy. Like one of my favorite films, Under the Tuscan Sun, the whole thing that kicks that movie off is like a divorce, and she's so sad and she's so upset, and at the beginning she's literally like crying all the time, but it ends up being the best, biggest blessing. And I just got chills because I feel like a lot of you guys are just being redirected divinely. Like this group has so much huge change happening to it, probably more so than any other group. And it feels like you guys have been trying to make yourself happy with like second best. Like you've been trying to make yourself happy in this situation rather than thinking about, why am I not happy? And why don't I respect that and listen to that? Instead of just trying to put a happy face on and pretend like everything's okay, what if I really dug down deep and paid attention? And I feel like some of you guys, you're going to have that stripped back. I'm seeing that some of you guys aren't posting on social media right now because you keep thinking like, one day I'm going to look better, or I'm going to get like this, I'm going to change this about my appearance, or I'm going to have this to show off career-wise and then I'll post, or I'm going to reach this level and then I'm going to post. And it's like, why don't you just post now? Because I feel like you guys have something so beautiful to share with the world. And some of you guys are just not in your power. And so I feel like this pile specifically is being redirected. And a lot of it is about finding joy in the moment, finding happiness in the moment, like not thinking that, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, or it's okay for me to be miserable right now because that's just how life is, and everyone's life is hard and life is difficult. But like, I'm finding a way to make yourself happy in the now. And I know everyone's financial situations are different, so not everyone can like take off and decide to, go drop $400 on a 6-course meal. And I'm not saying that, but maybe there's things you can do that will bring you joy in the moment, meeting up with a friend, or like going to go for a run outdoors in the sun. But I feel like some of you guys need to find ways to bring the joy into the everyday rather than putting it off into the future. I feel like some of you guys are keeping yourself very like disciplined and you're working hard, but it's like, where's the emotional support for you? Where's you paying attention to your hopes and dreams and desires? Some of you guys are like sacrificing yourself for other people. I don't know, maybe it's family or friends, but I just feel like you guys really need to pay attention to this feeling of dissatisfaction, because life is not just suffering. Whoever told you that like, well, that's just how it goes, life is really hard and it's always going to be like that, it's always difficult and that's just how things are, that person was lying. Like life does not have to be that way. And they probably weren't deliberately lying, but they probably had an old idea, an old paradigm of what it is, and that life is just always going to be this like really difficult time. And what you need to realize is that life can be joyful, and we only get one life, so we might as well spend it doing things we love. And that doesn't mean I'm going to laze around in my bed 24/7, although maybe if you're a Cancer that might be your idea of happiness. But But for most people, you know, it's going out and seeing friends. And I do feel like you guys in this pile are going to be doing more of that. Seeing friends, making the time out for your hobbies, for things you enjoy, for things that truly, genuinely make you feel alive. That's a big thing that's missing for you guys, is feeling alive, feeling present in the moment, and really just being able to have moments of excitement. Some of you guys, you're so used to like the same paradigm. You've been doing the same thing for so long that your life is like boring. It's like stuck in this rut, and you never have moments of excitement, of like joy, of euphoria, of like, I'm so excited about this. You know, when you're like younger, I feel like that's why a lot of people look back on first loves and stuff. It's because you have less responsibilities then, you're more open. It's all so exciting because it's happening for the first time, but like we can revisit and make that into our life at any time. We don't have to be stuck in like this adult world where we just go about our day, go about our business, and nothing happens. At any point, we can choose to do something new, to bring new energy in, to allow that magic to happen for ourselves. And a lot of that is taking ourselves out of those stuck situations and allowing the new to flow in by getting ourselves into a new environment, or just putting ourselves out there, making the effort to go out and stuff. But I do feel like for you guys, a lot of this might be leaving a job behind or moving, for sure. Honestly, you guys are unlearning so much for the rest of this year. And for some of you guys, this unlearning might take place in the form of feeling like you have to act a certain way, like feeling like, oh, I have to be quiet, or I have to put up with this situation, or I have to be the nice person. I think a lot of empaths tend to do that because they see and absorb the negative energy of others, so they don't want to step on anyone's toes, they don't want to make anyone upset, and so they often find themselves stuck in really difficult situations because they feel like they can't assert themselves. They feel like they can't say like, no, this is messed up and this is wrong. So they end up being kind of taken advantage of by like bosses, or in dysfunctional living situations, or whatever. And I feel like you guys are really stepping up to the plate, and you're almost going to be pushed a little bit, and understand that that's a blessing, because you're learning to speak up and that you do deserve better. That's really the lesson I feel like that Spirit wants to teach you guys this year. So the best way to go into this rest of the year is to be willing to do that right away. Don't wait until you're pushed to your breaking point, but like learn. Like, I think sometimes you guys in this pile, you're pressing down your emotions. You're feeling upset about something, but then again, second guessing it, telling yourself like, oh, I don't really, it's not my place. I shouldn't say anything. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to be mean by bringing this up. So you end up just staying in the situation. It's like, what about the other people in it? They're the ones being mean to you. And so I feel like some of you guys, you really need to question your feelings. You need to get to the bottom of it and think about not just repressing them and pushing them down, but listening to them, paying attention to them the first time. The first time you think, well, that's really unfair. Why did I get stuck with the bill again after we went out to this restaurant? Instead of dismissing it because you're like, well, I don't want to be annoying by asking them to pay me back. Be like, why have I paid for the last like 5 meals and like it's just not fair? Or why am I always getting stuck with this stuff at work when it's not really my job? Or why isn't this person listening to me and taking me seriously? Probably because you made it easy, because you're nice. And I feel like a lot of you guys, you're going to have to learn to listen to that. And it's like, it's not going to get better until it gets worse, if that makes sense. But it is going to get better once you guys can learn to put your foot down and listen. I think this is really about you guys paying attention to yourselves. And I honestly see this as such a positive change. I see that a lot of you guys, you're going to be moving out of this energy. You guys are going to be changing whatever this is that's bothering you. Instead of writing it off and being like, okay, well, that's just how it is. They're just kind of rude, and my boss is really mean, but you know, that's just how he is. And yeah, he shouts at me, but oh well. You're going to be like, wait a minute, I don't have to put up with this. Actually, I can go get another job and I can send out my resume right now. I have plenty of control in this situation. I can choose to, never come into work again if I want to. Or yeah, I may have a dysfunctional roommate, but I can leave. I can get out of this situation. Or I'm miserable where I live and I felt bored, so I can move. And I feel like you guys in this pile are going to be making that change. So anyway, let's get more cards and talk about also some specific things coming in for you guys. So we got full moon in Leo, go wild, first quarter moon in Libra, keep your heart open, and new moon in Libra, know you are loved. I really feel like a lot of this is about self-love, and it's also about relationships. We got Libra, which is, you know, the energy of the seventh house, connections with others. Libra, though, you know, what's coming to my mind with that is that Libra is very known for being afraid to like say anything that's mean. You know, they will keep the peace, and they're always trying to keep kind of the scales balanced and everyone feeling good, to their own detriment. And like every Libra I know might be upset about something, but they'll never tell you directly. They'll never actually say what's wrong. They'll always just kind of swallow it. And I feel like you guys are being encouraged to learn to speak up, and that you have the right to feel the way you do. And to stop, some of you guys are gaslighting yourselves. You're telling yourselves like, I wasn't that bad. Well, he didn't mean it like that. Well, I know that, yeah, she always gives me a weird vibe, but I think that she was stressed. Stop that. Like, no more of that. I think you guys are really kind of learning to center yourselves. We got full moon in Leo. So I feel like this time you guys are really learning to pay attention to your own wants. A Leo is always going to be prioritizing what they want. And, you know, not in a bad way, but that's what we're all supposed to do. We're supposed to focus on like, I want this. Obviously, we live in like communities, and we have to be aware of others. But it's like, as long as you're not harming anyone else, I feel like it's a really positive thing to focus on your own dreams and goals and to be in touch with what you want. And some of you guys are sacrificing yourself for other people's feelings and emotions. And I really think that that needs to change. I also feel like some of you guys, because you get too stressed and overwhelmed with like anticipating like, oh, I'm probably going to get a toxic boss, so I'm just not going to apply to work, or I'm probably going to get a toxic friend, so I'm just not going to be friends with anyone. And I think Spirit wants you guys to master this so you can stay open. So you guys are not just going to be like, okay, I'm never going to be friends with anyone, and I'm just going to stay cocooned alone in my room. That's why the Magician card shows one hand pointed up to the heavens and one pointed down to the earth. Because we weren't just put on this planet to be like up in the astral realm, like just drifting around by ourselves. That's what people do on the astral realm. That's why we come down to the physical plane, is to like go to connection with other people and stuff. And some of you guys, you anticipate that people are going to walk all over you, or that you're not going to know how to handle the situation. And so subconsciously, you just prevent yourself from even engaging in it at all by like hermiting away. And I feel like Spirit wants you guys this time, that it's going to kind of force you out into the world. So you're going to be put in situations like, I think some of you guys, you are going to be moving, or you're going to be around other people a lot more, and you're going to have to learn to assert yourself. You're going to have to learn to speak up. And I think that that's a really positive thing. So I feel like the quicker you guys can learn to like put your foot down and assert yourself and say what you want, I think the quicker this lesson can pass. And I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be much happier afterwards. You're going to be like, I am so glad I learned that lesson. Like, I am so relieved, because once you learn to balance this, like I think that before I ever put up any boundaries, like I used to not have as many boundaries in my relationships and stuff. And I was convinced that if I put up a boundary, that people would just hate me. And it's amazing how when you start doing it and you start being like, you know, I'm just not gonna, like, this person has, like, I called them a couple times, they didn't pick up and they never called me back, and now suddenly they called me twice. I'm gonna respond when I want to. I'm not gonna feel rushed to respond because they just called me back and now they're texting me, call me. But like where was this energy a week ago? And you realize that when you do call them in your leisure, like when you call them when you want to, they're not going to be freaked out on you. They're just going to be like, oh, okay, cool. And those boundaries we put up to respect our own time and space, like the right kind of people are going to be totally okay with that. And it's not going to be this like horrible event that you think where they're going to be like, how dare you? So I think some of you guys need to learn that like it's okay for you to go for what you want. Some of you guys are very tied into your family and what your family wants. And I see you guys leaving that behind and taking steps towards independence. Let me get more cards. So we got the spiral dancer, circuitous route, perception, the keeper of the scales, fairness, balance, and the cosmos, creativity, vastness. And I was wondering why this came out upside down. And I was with the Libra, I was like, but now it makes sense to me. Like some of you guys are just doing that Libra thing, trying to keep everyone else happy, trying to keep the peace. And I think a lot of you guys, it's almost like you need to be reminded how big this world is. So I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be traveling or moving, like a big move. And honestly, like it would be, I feel like a big thing. Like it's not, I'm not just seeing someone move linearly, if that's a word, like not just moving like across from one thing to another in the same type of job or the same type of field, but something where it's going to be a big change. It's going to be a big lifestyle shift. It's going to be a different 9 to 5. Like a different 9 to 5 is a big thing. So whatever mode you guys have been in, I feel like pile one, you guys are going to shift this up. You guys are going to have it disrupted, but in a good way. Like if you have been feeling bored or feeling stagnant or feeling like nothing's really changing, that's definitely about to end. And I think you guys are going to be really invigorated. It's almost like I'm seeing someone get injected with like life again, like a life and energy just going right back into their body where they've been so stuck and they've been so stagnant, and suddenly they're just alive and they're just full of energy again and full of excitement for things. And for a lot of you guys, this is you tuning into your heart, because I think a lot of you guys learned in childhood or whenever that like that's just how things are, and life just isn't that great, and I just have to be disciplined, and who am I to think that I can do this, or who am I to want this kind of lifestyle? And maybe you had parents that would, like, I don't know, say you're lazy if you didn't do something, or would, call you entitled or something like that. I don't know, but I feel like at some point you guys just kind of learn to just like take whatever. And I think you're really being pushed into an environment where you're going to be like, if someone asks you like, why did you do that? You're like, because I wanted to. And I don't care what you think, like, you're just going to be so empowered with saying your own desires and beliefs and doing things because you want them, not having to have like a list of reasons why, or having to get everyone else's approval, or having to have them understand and, think that you're right. Like, you don't care if they think you're wrong. Who cares? You're not going to be so concerned with other people's opinions. And I think in a weird way, it's actually going to open you up to much more connection with others than if you guys have been trying to be in hermit mode, because you're like, well, I'm being unique to myself. But like, are you? Because we do, as humans, we need connection with others, right? So maybe you have this idea of like, to achieve your goals, you have to be working around the clock, or you have to be on a certain timeline. And I'm feeling like you're going to start enjoying your life more. I'm seeing you guys go out more, spending time with friends more, enjoying yourself more, maybe going to like parties or functions. And not taking yourself so seriously. Let me get some astro dice. Actually, let me pull from these cards, and then we'll do the astro dice next. Sorry guys if you got excited for that. We got victory, happy family, man holding a coin, and woman holding a coin. So I think you guys are going to learn that you don't have to work in a miserable energy in order to make money or to be happy. Some of you guys, like what you're doing right now, like there's like this bone deep dissatisfaction. Like you guys really and truly are, I don't want to say miserable, but truly unfulfilled. Whatever you're doing is not bringing you joy and happiness. It's not bringing you contentment. It's not making you feel good. And I really think Spirit is kind of throwing this out. Spirit is saying it's time. Like, stop wasting time. Stop pretending that this is okay when you know it's not. When you know you're not happy. When you wake up in the morning and you have dread for the day, or you go to sleep at night and you're like, how am I going to fix this? Oh, I just hate this. When is this going to change? I hate my job. I can't believe I have to go into work. That's not okay. Why did you ever think it was? And I think Spirit is going to start plucking these things out of your life and really changing it so that you really don't have a choice in the matter, So you might find things coming to your mind like, well, I would love to become like a woodworker, or I would love to become like an interior designer, or I would love to become a baker, but I could never do that. And it's like, why not? Why not? And when did you ever think that you couldn't do that? Or what was the reason? And I think that you're going to be pushed into making these changes so that you're happier, because life is way too short to be staying it stuck in a job you hate, in a life you hate, in something that isn't making you happy. And there's almost always something we can change to bring ourselves into alignment with more happiness. It doesn't mean you have to like quit your job immediately with no backup plan. And, although that might be the solution for some people, I mean, honestly, it might. But for some people, maybe it has to be a little more measured. But I do feel like you guys are going to change out of this. And I feel like Spirit's going to be so happy when you do. This is going to be such a positive change. You guys are going to be so thrilled with the things that change in your life. And I think it's going to put you on track for the kind of relationships you really want. Like if you have been wanting a deeper romance or a deeper like love, like a family, like your own family or whatever, but you've been stuck in a situation that makes you miserable, we radiate the energy that we're feeling. And so if we're stuck in a horrible living situation, stuck at a job we hate, stuck at whatever, that's gonna have a ripple effect in our lives. And I do feel like a lot of you guys, you're going to be stepping towards what makes you happy, and then you're going to be attracting your soul tribe because of that. The people that would have that same kind of vibe, that same kind of interest are going to be drawn to you. And honestly, I feel like this time next year, y'all are going to be so happy. There's going to be so much joy and satisfaction with your life. And it's going to be these steps and this disruption that's happening now. But it feels like a destiny moment for a lot of you guys where you're really being rerouted. And I think it's for the better. You're going to realize that like it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. It's not just about how, if I get there, what it's going to look like then, and what's going to happen to me, and this success I want to manifest. But what is my day-to-day life in the moment, every single day, all of those moments adding up? I was just listening to like this podcast with Martha Stewart, and they said, do you have any regrets? And since she's like this ace businesswoman, I thought she was going to say like something about business, like, oh, well, I wish I'd done this, or I could have opened my company in this country, or I don't know, something like that. But instead, what she said was, I remember when I opened my business on the New York Stock Exchange and brought it public, Martha Stewart Living, and it was like $1 billion company. So she instantly became a billionaire. And she said she remembered being driven by her driver down Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, and she was looking at all the items in the stores, and she said something to her driver like, I could buy anything right now. I could buy anything in any of these stores right now. And she said she was just so filled with that knowledge at the moment of like, this is so incredible. I have all these options. And she said she didn't buy anything because she was thinking, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, it's like, that would be stupid. And she was like, I just wish I had enjoyed that moment more. I had enjoyed the money. And also she was like, it also would have appropriated like all the antiques I would have bought at the time would be worth like 10 times as much now. So it was a bad business decision as well. But I think it's so funny how we often so overthink in the moment, even at our big accomplishments, even at our big moments. We're always kind of focusing on the next, or what we should do, or I shouldn't do that, or I can't go into that store and buy blah, blah, blah. And that's, of course, like a first world problem to have. But so many of us carry those beliefs about how we're supposed to live our life. And I feel like Spirit is really going to call on you guys to make a life that you're enjoying in that moment, daily life, not just like off in the distance, one day I'll be happy. But why aren't you happy now? Because you can be. There's no reason why you shouldn't be. Let me get some astro dice. Spirit, can you give us some astrology information for pile 1 in 2022? So we got Venus, we got the 3rd house. Are you kidding me? And we got Libra. Wow. Okay. There must be a lot of Libras in this pile, or just that Libra energy of putting other people first. I'm also getting some Cancer vibes, and Cancer can definitely be that person that like sacrifices for others. Virgos as well, Pisces as well. But the third house is Gemini, and it's all about your voice. It's all about communication, and it can also have to do with travel and stuff. So I really feel like some of you guys might be moving. So yeah, I think though this is really about you guys finding your voice. And I'm not just talking about with others, although that applies as well, speaking up to others, but I think also finding your voice to yourself, because I think so much of the time we lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves a situation is fine when we know it isn't. Like a lot of times, one of my favorite books, The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, when he interviews, it's an amazing book and literally everyone should read it. And he also talks about intuition a lot through it. So it's a really cool, book to read if you're ever thinking of becoming a psychic or something. Like I just recommend it on every possible level. It's like the best book ever. But in the book, Gavin de Becker, The Gift of Fear, in case anyone wants to read it, he says that he talks to all these different victims of crimes, and he said that almost all of them reported that they just had a weird feeling about the person that committed the crime against them. He interviews, it's pretty much mostly about women, and how the fear you're feeling is a gift, and it's not something to be ignored. And so much of the time, like in our society, we talk about fear like it's a bad thing. We talk about like you getting over your fear or whatever, but actually that's a gift. It's your intuition screaming at you, get away from this person. They're crazy, or they're bad, or they have bad intentions for you. And we know it on a deep level. But so many women, because they want to be polite, they want to be nice, they don't want to seem mean or judgmental or harsh. So they'll, get into that elevator with that guy that they had a really bad feeling about. Or they'll be walking on the sidewalk and they'll see someone that they just have a bad feeling about, but instead of crossing the street, they don't want to look mean, so they just walk along next to him. And that's how a lot of these crimes end up happening, And so it's a really fantastic book, and he goes into a lot greater detail. But I think it's really important. We do that so much of the time in our life, because when he interviewed these women, almost all of them said, I knew right away. I thought he was weird. I thought there was something off. I had a bad feeling. They didn't know how to explain it. They didn't have he wasn't wearing a neon sign on his head that said, I'm about to commit a crime, but they just sensed something was off. And I think we do that so much of the time in our life. We know that the situation isn't working out. And we tell ourselves all these ridiculous lies about well, maybe it's going to change. Well, maybe one day, maybe my boss, who's a horrific nightmare and she's screaming like a banshee every day when I walk into the office, maybe she's going to wake up and be in a really good mood today. Maybe she's going to suddenly become super compassionate and like an animal lover, and she's just going to be the kindest person ever. Probably not going to happen. Or maybe my dysfunctional relationship where we're constantly fighting and getting back together, maybe he's going to wake up fully healed, I'm going to be fully healed, and everything's going to be perfect, and we're just going to get along. Maybe this horrible living situation I'm in somehow is going to fix itself, and my, horribly noisy neighbors are going to finally be quiet one day and be considerate, and everything's going to be fine. Probably not. So I think that a lot of things in life are just about listening to our intuition the first time, listening as soon as it happens, not gaslighting ourselves and trying to tell ourselves it's all going to be fine, lying to ourselves, misusing our intuition, because that is a misuse of intuition when you just ignore it and then you kind of put on these fake spiritual platitudes of it's fine, I'm going to manifest by pretending it's okay. But we know when something's not working out deep down in our spirit. So I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is about honesty with yourself. This is about being honest, also not just about what's not working, but what can work, what you do like, what you do enjoy, and whatever it is, being willing to step into that. It doesn't matter if anyone else agrees with it. It doesn't matter if people think it's the stupidest thing in the world. I like fake food. For my whole life, most of my family and stuff, they would tease me because I would love to look at if there was a little bowl of fake fruit at an open house, and we were visiting. My family thought they were going to move for a while, so we'd go to these different open houses, and my mom kind of likes real estate. So anyway, and they'd have fruit bowls, and I'd always grab them and be examining the grapes. I don't know why. It's so stupid, right? And my family would always tease me, but now so many of you guys like it. And my point is it doesn't matter if someone else thinks it's stupid. What matters is the intention you put into it. If it brings you happiness, and sometimes just the happiness it brings you makes other people enjoy it as well, makes other people see the value in it in a way they didn't before. You know, it's like if you wear a piece of jewelry and you love it, or an outfit and you love it, like Rihanna, when she wears her outfits and she has so much confidence, she looks amazing. If someone else tried to wear that outfit and they were like feeling really embarrassed and like slumping along, they'd probably look like a fool in it. So a lot of times it's about removing your ideas of what other people think, opinions other people have of you, and just stepping into like, this is what I like, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. So yeah, I think a lot of you guys this year, you're going to be forced to listen to this intuition. You're going to have no other choice than to listen, but it's in a good way. I think it is going to be working out amazingly well for you guys in the end. But as far as the rest of 2022, I definitely feel like you guys are going to be making big changes with your job, living situations, whatever this issue is that's been tugging away at you, you're not going to be able to ignore it anymore. So whatever that is, I do feel like it job, living situation, could be friend group, could be relationship, but it's something that really needs to change. And rest assured, look, there's a siren in the background as I'm saying this. It's like, this is an emergency. I feel like Spirit is saying like, this is a big deal. Stop ignoring the siren, the alarm that's been going off in your mind, and pay attention. Maybe some of you guys should read The Gift of Fear, because I don't know, some of you guys are discounting this, and it's like, step into your power and realize how much power you have, and that you don't have to tolerate this BS. You don't have to tolerate this bad behavior. So yeah, I really hope that helped. Pile one, let me know if it did in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed, make sure you turn notifications on, and like this video if it resonated. And if you want to check out my additional readings, you can check out my Patreon. I post new ones up all the time. I just posted an extended for the Why Are You Sexy? So check that one out. It's a lot more fun. Obviously, we can get into more stuff on Patreon than on YouTube. So we cover a lot of fun topics over there, and check it out because a new one's going up either already right now or really soon. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye. Hey Pile 2, so if you guys picked this yellow cupcake, this is going to be your reading. So on the top, there's a dollop of what looks to be lemon or maybe lime icing, and a little dollop of cream as well. There's lots of beautiful multicolored sprinkles and 2 blueberries decorating it. It's soft and squishy, and it looks like it's got a vanilla cake flavoring. So it just looks really delicious and perfect. Oh, and there's 2 little wafers on the top decorating it. So cute and adorable. But let's get right into your tarot. So you guys got the King of Pentacles reversed, 7 of Pentacles reversed, the 9 of Cups, 10 of Cups, Page of Swords reversed, 2 of Cups, the Hanged Man, and the 4 of Swords. So it feels like you guys are going to be having a great year with a lot of happiness and fulfillment coming through. And there's kind of a leaving behind of a focus on money or all the things you have to do, and more of a focus on your emotional well-being. So you might be spending more time with family, more time with friends, and just enjoying the good things in life for the rest of this year, and moving away from this idea that you have to do certain things, or you have to be on a certain timeline with certain things, or this feeling like you have to rush super fast, or you have to be constantly doing things. So I feel like you guys are actually going to be taking more time out to rest, to enjoy, to spend time with yourselves, and getting a very different perspective on this. Some of you guys might be leaving behind even like a toxic boss that could be the King of Pentacles, or toxic family members that kind of lord their power over you, or have this idea that you have to do things a certain way, and choosing more to step towards what really makes you happy, not feeling so upset about like it not happening on a certain timeline, or feeling so obsessed with having to be productive, and more moving towards being in a state of happiness, fulfillment, goodness. If you guys have wanted to start a family this year, that can be indicated as well, or finding that partner that you might build a family with. But I feel like you guys are aligning yourselves with the vibe and the energy of all kinds of good things coming to you, whether it's a good relationship, whether it's just a good emotional life. But your emotions seem to be going well, and a very strong emphasis this year. So I do feel like you would be spending more time with your friends and family, and less time so focused on the things you have to do, or, you know, being so focused on achievement or being so focused on productivity and ticking things off on a certain timeline, and a lot more relaxed energy, a lot more happiness, time for the things you guys enjoy. And you guys are really going to be changing that up. There might be a situation where you guys have been investing your energy in something and it just hasn't been moving forward the way you want. And you might be making a choice this year to take your energy back and to really direct it towards the things that make you feel good. Obviously, anything we want to achieve and accomplish in life is going to take some work and some effort. But when you're doing something you really love, you really enjoy, that truly fills you with fulfillment and joy, and you feel like you're doing something important and worthwhile, then that's a very different feeling than coming into a job we hate, that we get no fulfillment from, that we feel like it's kind of pointless for our life mission, and it feels so unfulfilling and feels so draining. And so for some of you guys, you're choosing to step away from that and you're choosing to prioritize your peace into the things that make you feel good. For some of you guys, it might even be a situation where you're embroiled in pointless conflicts, like a family member that just always wants to argue or pick at you, or a work situation where there's a ton of conflict involved in the job and you're just like, life is too short. Like, I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to enjoy a little bit. So I do see for the rest of this year, a lot of you guys making the choice to step away from this and to really think critically, because I'm seeing that your energy, it's almost like I want to say it's diffused the way light is diffused. Like, have you ever seen kind of like a sunbeam coming through a window, but there's like a weird window pane and the light kind of gets scattered across the room, or there's, something blocking it slightly, like a weird, piece of art or like mobile hanging thing that like makes the light shoot off in weird directions. That's kind of what I'm seeing for you guys. I know that's a weird image, but I feel like some of you guys, it's like your energy keeps being deflected from whatever you're working towards because of maybe some emotional upheaval or stress, like difficulty, like you're working towards something, but then you get embroiled in like some BS. Someone brings some BS to you, and next thing you know, you're not focused on your goal. You're not in alignment with it emotionally, where you're in a great place and you're feeling good and you're manifesting blessings. You're like distracted by that. And so I do see you guys making the conscious choice to step away from this and towards the things you really love. And there is a love message for a lot of you guys with the 2 of Cups. And then we also have the 10 of Cups, where some of you guys are going to be meeting a long-term soulmate, possibility for like marriage and long-term commitment and starting a family with them. I see overall you guys choosing to make steps towards kind of a family life. I'm definitely seeing you guys spending more time emotionally with the people you love. And if it's not finding that future spouse, soulmate type person, it could be spending more time with your actual immediate family that you were born into. The holidays will be coming up later in the year, and a lot of people spend more time with their like birth family around that time. But I really see you guys looking after yourselves emotionally and putting some boundaries up. It's almost like you realize that the path you've been on hasn't been paying off as much, or that there's things you should tweak. I almost feel like it's not that you have to like get off this path, but maybe you have different expectations about what the path is going to be like. Like maybe you think that it should be working out on this timeline. It has to work out right now. It has to look like this. It has to be like that. And you realize that it's kind of like okay to take the scenic route, Like I always laugh because I'm pretty much a slow driver because I hate driving. And so I'm always like, let me go as far into the right lane as I can and just like basically go the speed limit. I'm not going to go like way under it, but I don't like to like speed or anything. So anyway, it's always funny to me when someone will like tailgate or they'll go so crazy because I go slow. Like I just am basically chill and I'll just like do whatever while I'm driving. Like I'll just listen to a podcast or whatever. And it's so funny because a lot of times just because of traffic, spotlights and stoplights and stuff like that, I'll end up like next to the same person that like got really mad and cut me off. And I always find that funny. And I know that's probably really frustrating for them, but I'm like, if you just relaxed, because I actually did the math once. I used to speed a lot and I would have to take this 3-hour drive to visit my grandmother, and I would take that ride, and the whole time I would be stressing out like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna speed now. And everyone knows like that road in particular, that highway, there's a ton of speed traps. So I'd always be like speeding, but stressing out, keeping my eye out, looking for, a cop, trying to make sure I didn't see one, trying to make sure everything would be okay. And inevitably coming into this major city that she lives in, I would hit a bunch of traffic on the way in. And I remember being that person who would like sped and passed this other person, and they had like a distinctive car. And I remember seeing them like right next to me, maybe not right next to me, but like close, way too close for my comfort. And I just remember being so annoyed and being like, what the heck? Like I was speeding and I got ahead of them. And just with the flow of traffic and just the fact that it was blocked up, we ended up in the same lane. And that was when I realized like, what's the point of me speeding? What's the point? And I literally did the math, and I was like, okay, so if I speed like 15 miles over the speed limit the whole time, straight the whole time, I'm literally gonna stave off like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or something from the trip. Or maybe 45 minutes. But the whole time I'm stressed, my cortisol is up higher. I'm like constantly searching the whole time for a cop. I'm constantly nervous. Sometimes when you're speeding, like also someone will get offended and then they'll kind of get mad at you and try to like race you. And you're like, what are you doing? I'm just driving. But the thing is when you just kind of relax and just chill and expect that like it's going to take longer, and I'm just going to listen to my podcast, I'm just going to enjoy, I'm just going to play music, I'm just going to kind of look at the scenery and relax. It's to me so much more enjoyable, and to each their own. Some people really love to speed, and God bless. I mean, you can choose how you live your life. So each can make up their own mind. But for me, I just feel like in life, so much of the time we can be focused on like achieving things by a certain timeline, and that it has to happen a certain way. And if we just kind of relax and understood that like we will get there, then it would be so much more enjoyable. And then in the meantime, if you knew you were going to get there no matter what, then wouldn't you like actually make the time to meet up with your friends for drinks after work? Or wouldn't you make the time to like see your mom, or wouldn't you make the time to like just go hang out at the beach after your work was over? Wouldn't you make the time to like make your favorite meal on a Sunday night? Like you would find time to enjoy. If you knew that it was inevitable that you were going to get there, you would take that time out for yourself to really make yourself feel emotionally good, and not just treat yourself kind of like you're in survival mode and you have to fight and you have to be doing this. So I feel like a lot of you guys are going to learn this lesson, and you guys are going to be spending more time focused on yourself for the rest of the year. A quote that's coming to mind that I just heard the other day, and I actually wrote it down so I can read it exactly for you guys, but it's from Freud, and it is, "One day in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful." And I feel like that's the vibe for you guys. Not that you guys are going to be struggling, but that you're going to realize that like whatever goal you guys are after, the better way to go about it is to accept that you will accomplish it, and then pay attention to what is making you feel joyful in the moment. So not treating yourself like you're some mercenary who has to just stay late at the office every night and has to like fight through this difficult situation and just like, I'm just going to deal with it. I'm just going to push myself to the bone. But take the time out to rest, take the time out for self-care, and then being like, I think I'm going to get there anyway. And if I'm not exhausted, that's not a bad thing. That's not a sign that I'm not working hard enough. That's a good sign that I'm looking after my emotional health. So I see you guys taking a lot more time out to kind of learn that as a lesson. And yeah, I think there's a lot of joy and happiness this year. We did get the 9 and 10 of cups. So those are really happy, joyful cards about emotional fulfillment, about, being surrounded by friends and family and having that connection to others and having our emotional side really filled up. We also got the 2 of cups. So it's a great time for finding a partner. This could be a time when you guys really find that spouse or life partner for you guys, if that's something you guys are looking for right now. But overall, I see a lot more boundaries going up and a lot more paying attention to what fulfills you. So okay, they're telling me to spin the astro dice, so I'm going to do that a little early. Let's get some astro dice for pile 2. Spirit, can you give us some astro dice for pile 2? Oh, okay, that fell off. Let me grab that. Okay, 7th house. Okay, so that's another connection card. And I noticed when it was on the floor, it was actually at the 7th house, which is funny because those are both cards about connection with others. So 7th house is like romantic connections and kind of love, partnership. And then we have 11th house, which is connection with kind of a wider social circle. So I just feel like connecting with others, being around others is a major theme for you guys. So we also got Scorpio. And we got Saturn. Wow. So Scorpio is another energy that is really about connecting with others. I don't mean to like go on and on, but obviously Scorpio rules sex, and also just the 8th house is about other people's money. It's about that partnership that we make with other people and deep, close personal connections, among other things. But I really feel like taking the time out for connection and making room for other people in your life is a theme that a lot of you guys need to learn in pile 2. And with Saturn coming through, I feel like there's a message to say that maybe you guys have been a little bit too Saturnian. And it's not to say we have to throw everything out the window and like, I'm just gonna like hang out at the local bar all day and I'm just never gonna work again. But we can have a little bit of balance. We can get our work done, but maybe setting a more reasonable schedule. Maybe making sure we do get our 8 hours of sleep every night, but then scheduling it in so we can have some fun and we can have some time out for some little joys. It doesn't even have to be like big things like I'm gonna go to an amusement park or I'm gonna like go on this huge vacation. It can be like I'm going to, like I said, have my favorite food, or because I feel like this is really about other people, not just like private pleasures, but like the joy of being around others. So I'm going to take that time out to see a friend I love, or I'm going to take the time out to call someone I really enjoy, or I'm going to take the time to really look after myself. And Spirit is wanting me to tell you that some of you guys have been in hermit mode, and it's like you really do need to get your connections from others, because we do charge from being in like collective energy. Like we do charge from being around other people. And I think that's why a lot of people said, that they've had mental health issues since, all the issues started in 2020, with people not being able to go outdoors and socialize or meet people in the office. And as much as people might have said things like, oh, I wish I could never go into my office again, they find that like when they're not around coworkers, even the coworkers they didn't like, they were in a really bad emotional place. And partially that's because we get a charge from other people. It's not just extroverts who do that, who get that. It's everyone. We are like a collective species, and it doesn't matter who it is, even the random guy who works in like the local corner store, or, the girl who works at the coffee shop, or whoever, we can get that little charge, that little spark, that exchange of energy that can really make us feel better. And I feel like for you guys, it might be about being more intentional about that and making sure you're taking the time out to connect with people, to look after your emotional side, and not just being so Saturnian, like hard on yourself. You might find that you have a lot more energy when you take the time out to go meet up with someone, meet up with a friend, or call your brother, or whatever. You might be like, this is odd. I'm in such a good mood. And it's like, pay attention to that. Pay attention to your emotional state afterwards. And if you are already someone who does that, I think Spirit is saying that you will have a lot of that this season in your life. You guys will be able to meet up with your family, with your friends a lot. And that's going to be a major focus for you for the rest of the year, is like having these celebrations, having these times with others, enjoying yourself, not staying isolated. So I think it's a really positive thing. I think it's a really positive reading. And yeah, just like don't be so hard on yourself and understand that like things are going to happen in due time. And you do want to be disciplined about things because the King of Pentacles reverse can sometimes indicate a lack of like discipline. But I'm getting the vibe for a lot of you guys that there's a focus on like being disciplined, but also really paying attention to your emotions and really doing things and seeking out that kind of community and fellowship with others that we only really get from like a connection with another human being, you know? So yeah, let me get some more cards. So we got full moon in Gemini, embrace the flow of life. Last quarter moon in Capricorn, leave the past behind. And full moon in Aries, cool your emotions. So more Capricorn energy, Saturn energy. So with Gemini, embrace the flow of life. I do feel like there's like an energy about relaxing a little bit, flowing into things, kind of taking a breath. Some of you guys have been pushing and pushing and pushing. And I just think it's kind of like, it's okay to pause. It's okay to relax. It's okay if things don't happen right on time, or right when we want, because it is on time. It's in God's time. I feel like when I look back at the things that I've always been trying to rush, like things that I wanted to happen on a certain timeline, I look back now and I'm like, I'm so glad it didn't happen then. And I learned so much from whatever delay was there. It was for a reason. It was to teach me something. It was to make me look at a situation and reassess it. And I've always been glad for the times when things have taken a little bit longer. And I think Oprah said something like, if you feel, you give yourself time to know. Like you'll know when you know. You know what I mean? If you're confused about a certain situation, don't like push yourself into like figuring it out. Like I need to know right now. Just be like, okay, it's okay. And if I don't know, I'm going to pause, I'm going to relax, and I'm going to wait for the answer to come to me. Like I've told you guys this story before, but I love this podcast, Spooked, which, yeah, I think it's just called Spooked. Or is it, yeah, it's Spooked by Snap Judgment, Spooked, whatever. It's called Spooked. And anyway, it's an offshoot of this Snap Judgment, but it's called Spooked. And one of the podcasts is one of my favorite podcasts ever, about this girl who she's out for a walk. She sees these two creepy guys at the beginning of like the parking lot. She kind of brushes it off. She was stressed out. So she's like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to go in. Like she was been arguing with her boyfriend, so that was on her mind. So she sees these two creepy guys, she's just like, ugh, and she just, goes on her walk, not really thinking. Then she starts hearing like rustling through the woods, and she's like, huh, that's kind of weird. The whole thing just seemed weird. And then she's like telling herself, well, they're probably looking for like something in the woods, whatever. And then she hears them say she can't have gone far, and she realizes that they're like looking for her, and it kind of clicks in with her. And she said she just froze in panic. She didn't know what to do. And she was like just sitting there thinking, oh my God, they're looking for me and I'm alone in the woods. And then she hears this voice from behind her that says, go to the riverbank now. And she was like, what is this? I love this story. It's so crazy to me and so intense and like spiritually potent. And then the voice says, and so she's like, okay, now I'm hearing voices. I'm going crazy, but I guess I'll listen because I don't really have a choice. So she decides to go to the riverbank. She starts running. Then they say, quiet, slowly. Go slowly, go to the riverbank. So she slows down and starts moving slowly and quietly through the woods to the river bank. Then she goes down and hides underneath like an embankment. And anyway, I'm kind of speeding this up for you guys. And these are all like true stories. So they're like first person, people send them in. But anyway, so then she is hiding. She can hear the voice just keeps saying, wait, just wait. And she's like, listening out for, and then the voice quiets. the voice goes completely quiet, and then she can hear the footsteps right above her head. And she kind of tilts out her head, looks up, she sees like a dirty rope. I know I'm telling this whole intense story, but it's for a reason. So then she, it's the guy, he's looking for her, obviously. And the guy walks away, and she hears the voice finally come back once he's far away. And it just keeps saying, wait, over and over, wait, wait, wait. And she really doesn't want to listen. She's like, that's the last thing I want. She wanted to run with every fiber in her being. She wanted to run, obviously, for obvious reasons. She's like completely panicked at this point and fully kind of processing what's going on. So she wanted to run, but she doesn't. So she stays completely silent and still. And finally, the voice starts screaming at her, run to the field. And it's like screaming. So she runs to the field, runs to her car, and it goes into more detail of like, it was the voice started, she heard footsteps behind her. She thought it was the guy, but it was the voice, I guess. And it kept screaming louder and louder, run. And so she gets to her car safe. I just love that story. Like, to me, it's so cool because it's an example of how our guides are always with us, how our team is always with us. And also, like, I think that moment when it's saying wait to her, sometimes that's the hardest moment. Like, it's one thing to be running, to be taking action. I know for me, I'm like a fight or flight. I'm like a fight person. Like, when I get that like panicked state, I probably wouldn't even freeze in the woods like she did. I would just be like running immediately because that's how my body responds to stress, is I get like that adrenaline rush and I want to do something. I want to take action. Like this Aries says, cool your emotions. That would be the lesson I would need when I'm stressed about something. I'm like, let's go, let's do it. But the thing is that waiting period, that time when you're relaxed, when you're letting things flow, as hard as it may be, that's oftentimes the most important time for us. That's the time when spirit is really working and intervening, and they're having us wait for a moment. They're for a reason. They're not just doing it like randomly, like, nah, I'm just kind of like chilling and well, I'll deal with this later. They're doing work for us on the other side. Spirit is not like that friend we all have that will text us like, I'm 5 minutes away, and then they're secretly in a bubble bath, just relaxing and like chilling. They're doing that. If it's not happening right now, it's for a reason. And if she had run out of that riverbank earlier, even though her instincts might have told her to do that, I mean, who knows what have happened? Probably something really catastrophic. And so, as much as it might be painful to be sitting underneath that riverbank and waiting and just like biding our time, it's for a reason. And I do feel like for you guys, there's just a message of kind of like things are going to happen on the right timeline for you guys. And I think that this year though, you're learning to like enjoy yourself in the meantime. Like maybe your goal, whatever it is, isn't going to happen this year, 2022. It might, but I also feel like it is going to happen. But partially you guys need to learn to prioritize your emotions. Partially you need to learn to prioritize your happiness and your joy, and that you deserve that so you can take that into the next stage. Like, how many times do you hear about successful people, but they run into some horrible situation because they just keep overworking? Like, I can think of like different pop stars and stuff that they would just go on like tour for years and they would just get so burnt out, and people would think, oh, they're so successful, they reached the pinnacle and like they must be so happy, but secretly they're completely miserable because they're having to work to the bone. And I just think your guides want to prepare you for this next energy and to make you realize that accomplishment, achievement isn't everything. So as much as it might be difficult and it might be stressful to like take a step back, chill a little bit, I think that's what you guys are going to be doing in 2022, and focusing on your joy, your happiness, connecting with what makes you feel truly good and figuring out what that is. So let me get more cards. So we got the Web Weaver, Synchronicity, Divine Intelligence, Cause and Effect, the Spirit Whisperer, Divine Guidance, Higher Knowing, the Wise Woman of Wonderland, Integrity, Compromise. So there's some very psychic cards coming through here. So for a lot of you guys, it might be about listening to Spirit, maybe meditating a little bit more, taking some time out to listen to Spirit. because I think sometimes, like, all of us, we can get very wrapped up in what's like society wants for us, or what other people want for us, or like what we want consciously from our conscious mind processing a situation, which obviously our conscious mind is just going to want to have everything flow to us easily, like instantly, like at the snap of our fingers, just instant gratification. But that's not really what spirit wants for us, and it's not why we came to this lifetime. Like, life is kind of like a video game. If you are playing a video game, you're not just going to play it on easy mode level 1. Like, I've mentioned this before, but I used to play The Sims. I feel like everyone plays The Sims, right? Like, everyone loves that game, or did when they were a kid. And so when I would play The Sims, like, of course, you discover the cheat codes and you start using them. And at first I was like, this is the dream. We found the cheat codes. And like, I remember with me and my sister, we would play it a lot. And so we were so jazzed, and we were just like, we can finally get all these items we wanted, and we can finally do all these things and build this crazy house. And you get all the cheat codes and you get all the money, and you quickly are like, oh, this is really boring. Like, this game doesn't even mean anything. I can just buy anything. So now there's no fun to it. There's no game to be played. It's just like, it's just literally the most boring thing ever. It's just about buying different like things that are almost fake at that point, because they mean nothing, because you can just purchase, you can just earn more with the click of a button. So it's funny how much it takes away the fun of it. And like, think of it like our higher selves want us to go through certain things for reason, to learn certain things, to have certain lessons that we might have arranged on the other side before we came here. So if suddenly everything was just handed to us at the drop of a bucket, at the drop of a whatever, I don't know, drop of a hat, I don't know. It would take away the fun. It would take away the lessons, the journey, the purpose, the story behind it. Like, again, I've also mentioned before, like, I always think it's funny when I'll read like a story, like a, you know, there'll be like a tragic book or something, a tragic romantic book, and the story someone will be leaving a review on Goodreads, which I know I mentioned these before. I think they get the craziest reviews on Goodreads, so I'll sometimes read it for my own entertainment reasons. And there'll always be someone complaining about, like, I don't understand why this book had so much, I don't understand why, like, they had to fight and argue at the beginning of the story, or I don't understand why, like, this had to happen. And it's like, because it's a book, and that's like the point of it. It's supposed to be like dark and dramatic and intense, because no one wants to read a story about two people that meet in a coffee shop, exchange numbers, go on a date goes well, they become exclusive, then they get engaged, then they get married. Like, that's just boring, right? Like, we need to have some drama, we need to have some spice, some interest. It's like I'm also seeing like sour gummy worms. Like, those are delicious because they kind of pucker your mouth. They're sour, but they're also sweet. And that's kind of like life. Like, I know that's kind of corny, but I mean, it would be completely boring if you've ever had something that's just way too sweet and it's actually kind of gross, and you're like, I don't even want to eat this. Even if you have a sweet tooth, you're like, there's nothing even here. You need a little bit of those extra flavors. Like, actually, as someone who bakes, cacao or powdered cocoa is which is like chocolate, is super bitter, and it tastes pretty horrible. Like cacao nibs and just raw cacao, and you know, chocolate that isn't sweetened at all is incredibly horrible. And that's why it tastes so good though. Same with coffee, is because once you add the sugar to it and you combine those things, you combine the bitterness with the sweetness, that's what makes it taste good, and that's what makes it so special. So I feel like your guys' message right now for the rest of 2022 is that you're going to start understanding and accepting that all these things that might not seem like they're working out on time are working right on schedule. Everything's going great for you guys, even if it might not seem like that all the time, it really is. And I don't mean to make it sound like your year is going to be so awful, because I'm not getting that vibe. Like I said, we got the 10 of cups, we got the 9 of cups. I feel like things are going to be going great for you guys. But I also feel like you are realizing that life is it's not just like a rat race competition of like, I just have to succeed at all costs and who cares what happens. Life is meant to be enjoyed. I think they figured that out in in certain cultures across the world that have like siestas, you know, and have like a little break during the day where people will go home and take a nap. And a lot of those cultures also have amazing food because, you know, they see the value of food. It's not just like, let me just grab this protein bar and chug this coffee and just run off to my job and barely taste it while I'm eating. It's about like the enjoyment of like a delicious plate of pasta or a delicious, amazingly made chocolate tart that took hours for someone to make in a bakery, you know, and is like impeccably decorated and just has like hundreds of years of technique threaded into it. And they do that in a lot of different cultures around the world. But I still feel like, especially like in America, we have a very productivity oriented kind of culture. And I know other cultures do as well. And I think it's really amazing to think about how many people actually, those are all those countries that have like siestas and stuff like that. They're like the top tourist countries, right? Like people pay so much money to go to them every year. And it's so funny because it's like they need a break from their lives. So they go to these places that live this way full time, but it never kind of clicks. Like maybe I should integrate that into my life. Maybe there's something to it. Cause it's funny because a lot of people go to those countries and then they'll complain when they go to like get something at noon and the shopkeeper's out because they're on a siesta, you know, rather than being like, they're on a siesta. Maybe I'll take one too. So I feel like there's so much to be learned from like prioritizing our emotions and thinking about, is this working for me? Am I happy? Because I think a lot of people, we just breeze past that. We just go straight to like, how productive am I being? How much am I accomplishing? And I feel like for a lot of you guys, your emphasis this year is going to be thinking about, are you happy? And if not, what needs to go and what needs to change? And really being like kind of ruthless about deciding that. So let me get some more cards, some final cards. We got victory, cornucopia, and yin yang. So as I was saying, like, this is not saying that y'all are going to have some horrible year. I'm not saying that, and I'm sorry if it comes off that way. I just see you guys making more of a balance and still reaching the end, still reaching the victory and the cornucopia, the abundance you guys want. Just knowing that like the journey is part of it. It's not just about that destination. It's about also the skills we develop on the way there to cope, to have boundaries up that, you know, when the boss asks you to come in late, that you can be like, oh no, sorry, I checked out and I'm actually at lunch with my girlfriend, so I can't. And like that ability to say that will serve us in such good stead at whatever level of our life we're at. So I feel like you guys are really being called to master that, to pay attention to that, to balance. And again, I'm not saying for you guys just to sit around and just chill all the time. We got yin and yang, which talks about the balance of masculine and feminine, the balance between Mars energy and Venus energy. So it's not just one or the other. It's about taking the time to be diligent, achieve our tasks, and be like kind of disciplined about that, but also taking the time out for the emotional side, what makes us feel good, kind of that Venusian, almost luxurious, relaxed energy. So both of those things existing at once, and that it is possible to integrate that, even though they may seem kind of antithetical. So yeah, I think you guys are being called to kind of chill, be a little bit calmer, be a little more relaxed. We also got Aries, cool your emotions for this. And so I think that the metaphor I'm getting is just kind of that story I was telling you guys of the girl in the woods and that weight. I just keep hearing that in my mind. So kind of like not reacting to things not right away. Even with what I was mentioning earlier with giving into like stupid petty arguments, learning to control our emotions, learning to be like, I'm just going to be relaxed. I'm just going to be chill about this situation. And I'm going to pause, give myself space to react and figure out if I want to engage or not. And understanding that our attention is power. So where we give our attention is fueling whatever that is. So if we don't want to argue with someone and we don't want to engage in that, we don't have to. And not feeling like, well, they said something to me, so I have to respond. Why do you have to? Who cares? Who cares what they think? Who cares what they say? You know what I mean? So I just see you guys taking back your emotional power, really finding ways to make yourselves feel good. And this time next year, I think you guys are going to have such a happier energy in your life. Like you guys are going to be feeling blessed, too blessed to stress, and excited and you're going to accomplish your goals, but it's like you're going to have on the way there just be in such a better place. Like when you accomplish them, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to have so much happiness and joy that the goals are going to be like, you're going to be really happy about them. Don't get me wrong, but it's almost going to seem secondary to all the things you learned and all the things you gained on this journey and all the emotional connections you guys have made, because I do think you're being called to make more friendships, to make deeper relationships, and I think those are going to come into your life for the rest of 2022. You're going to be prioritizing that emotional side, relationships in general, and I think honestly it's going to be a really beautiful rest of the year for you guys. But pay attention if you're feeling called to kind of compromise yourself, or you're feeling very torn between like, but I don't have time to see my family because of my job, they won't let me take time off. Well, then that's probably not the job for you. So maybe think about how you can find something that's a better fit, because keep in mind, we're always in charge of our own destinies. We can always change them at any point. We can always change a situation or choose that I'm not tolerating this anymore, I won't do it anymore. And we have the power to make our destiny and to make our choices that are the best for ourselves. And so take that power back, step into your own power of truly prioritizing your mental health. I don't know what that is. Mental well-being and emotional health, I guess is what I was saying. Anyway, maybe I need to prioritize mental well-being with that mistake. But anyway, but yeah, I think you guys are going to have a great rest of your 2022, and you're going to come out a lot better next year. Like I feel like if you guys have had a lot of emotional issues this year, or a lot of emotional stress and difficulty, I do think that energy is falling away, and y'all are going to be actively working to make yourselves a lot happier, finding a lot more joy in your life, working more joy into your life, finding ways to make yourself more joyful on a daily basis, and just enjoying your life more. And you're going to feel so gratified. Like I can't say that enough. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I really hope it resonated. Let me know if it did in the comments. And if you liked this video, make sure to like it, give it a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you find out as soon as I post. And if you liked this reading and want to see more of mine, you can also check out my Patreon. I just posted an extended reading for our What Makes You Sexy videos. So we got into kind of some of the stuff we couldn't talk about on YouTube that we can talk about more on Patreon. So it's a lot of fun, and I have a ton of readings over there. Definitely check that out. Link in my description for that Patreon. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon for another reading. So take care, guys, and I will see you then. Bye. Hey pile 3, so if you guys picked this blue cake, this is going to be your reading. So on the top, there's 2 slices of star fruit, then on the side, a delicious looking blue icing, so it might be blueberry flavored. Then there's another drizzle of white icing on the top, and a little green ball in the middle that might be a lime kumquat or something. But it looks so good. I love all the layers. It just looks good enough to eat. But let's get into your tarot. So you guys got the 7 of Pentacles, 6 of Swords, 9 of Wands reversed, the Star, 9 of Swords reversed, 4 of Pentacles reversed, 6 of Wands, and the 8 of Cups. So for the rest of 2022, a lot of you guys are going to be called into some kind of mission statement. It feels like you guys have felt this calling for a long time, and Spirit has been trying to get your attention, but you guys have had a lot of worries and a lot of second guessing about it, trying to figure it out with your rational mind. And I do feel like for the rest of 2022, it's going to be harder and harder for you guys to ignore these messages from Spirit, and you're really being called into some kind of higher mission that I feel like you guys have been called to for a long time. It feels like there's some fear here of putting yourself out there in some way, possibly of like public recognition. Maybe you guys are more comfortable kind of in the shadows, not fully showing yourself, not fully showing your face to the world. But I feel like that's going to have to change, and Spirit's going to make you more and more uncomfortable until you're finally willing to take that step. And with the 6 of Wands and the Star, it might be being actually called to some kind of social media platform, but I definitely feel like there's some call for you guys not to be hiding yourselves away. It could be something like you're in a friend group and all your friends are comfortable with you kind of being the quiet one that never really gets much attention, and you're kind of okay with that. You always let them take center stage. Or maybe at work, someone constantly is taking credit for your work, but you never really correct them or call them out in a meeting and say like, hey, that was my idea. That's been my idea. And I feel like you guys are going to be forced to really be brave here and really step into your mission statement, step into this energy of empowerment and knowing your full worth and going for something that it feels like it might be a little bit risky. It feels like you guys have been called to this for a long time, but there's always been a lot of fear. And what's coming to my mind is that a lot of people, they have the same interests, they have the same kind of desires or things they care about that they did when they were younger. And those things don't just go away, and they're there for a reason. And actually, randomly, I was going through some old emails last night, and I found all these emails about numerology and astrology and stuff that I literally don't even remember sending from so long ago, before I ever got into it seriously and started really studying it. And I was really young, but I was always, always interested in these subjects. And it's so funny how life kind of progresses. And I remember I even had changed my email name because of numerology to make it a more favorable number. And I remember people asking me like, why is your email this other name? And I made up some lie about it being for cybersecurity. So I didn't have to tell people it was numerology, because I was embarrassed that I was interested in like metaphysical subjects. A lot of my friends were kind of atheists or just not into the whole scene. So it's funny now that, I do this on here. And my point is that a lot of those things that we try to want to run away from, or that we don't really like, or we feel embarrassed about, actually that can be a guide for us to a gift that we have. That's a really core key part of us. Those things that we've always been interested in, those things that we always liked or always kind of leaned towards, can be a real pathway to our destiny. And I feel like some of you guys are feeling that embarrassment that I felt back in the day, not wanting to tell anyone like, oh, well, I'm into numerology and I like astrology and I'm into all these things. I thought people would think it was lame. And so I think the message for you is, the earlier you can kind of get over that and just step towards your destiny, just step towards what Spirit has put in your heart, the better it is. I mean, why waste time being nervous or scared about something that has the potential to be so positive for you, that has this amazing star potential that we see right here? Like, this has the potential to make your dreams come true, has the potential to fulfill those secret desires of your heart. And this really is an amazing moment for you guys. This is the potential of the star of your dreams coming true. But you guys have got to be bold enough to leave something behind and to put things in the past. You don't have to figure out a 20-year plan or know what every step along the way is going to look like. That's the job of Spirit. It's your job to trust in that one step at a time and going by faith. That's really what the star card is about. You can't see the whole picture, but you can see the destination. That's how they used to navigate. Like back in the day, they would go by the stars and they would go towards the North Star in particular. That's why we have like the star in Christianity on top of the tree, because it was how the wise men guided themselves to the birth of Jesus. So that's how a lot of people navigated back in ancient times. They wouldn't be able to know exactly what they were going to come across or what was going to happen on every part of the journey, but they knew that if they walked towards the star, that they would get where they wanted to go. And so for us in life, that's sometimes what we have to do. It might seem risky, it might seem crazy to others, but when we have this intuitive feeling inside, then we have to trust that. And we have to know that Spirit is guiding us towards our best possible outcome, something that maybe our parents might not understand, our friends might not understand. No one can understand it but us. And that's why it's a gift from Spirit. And that's also why you guys got the Eight of Cups. I love the Eight of Cups because it's a card that talks about really trusting that water intuition. And with that water energy, it's not saying that everything in your life is horrible, but you have that intuitive nudging and pulling that is only that water intuition. So it's not a logical thinking. It's not, well, this really stinks and here's why. And let me lay out 5 different reasons why it's bad. It's something deep inside your heart that can only make sense to you, only be heard by you, but you feel called to leave a situation behind. And it might be perfectly fine to someone else. It might be a great situation to others. They might be like, wow, why are you unsatisfied? This is great. Everything you have is fantastic. But for you, it's not enough. And that's the only thing that matters, because you can't hear no one else can hear your calling, right? Just like I can't listen in on someone else's phone line. I can only hear what comes through my phone line. And so those feelings of like destiny and I should do this and stuff, those are gifts from God, that spirit talking to you. And a lot of you guys are going to really kind of be forced to listen this for the rest of this year. You guys are not going to be able to run away from it. You're really going to have to fully embrace this destiny moment. And I think it's going to be pulling at you stronger and stronger and stronger for the rest of 2022. And for some of you guys, this might have manifested in kind of a lack of finances being on your side. Maybe you were hoping to be earning more money. And I feel like Spirit is saying this is a pathway for you guys to be earning more money. If you are wanting more abundance, if things have been good, but it's not great, you don't feel that amazing magical feeling with the 7 of Pentacles, that can talk about, we put the work in and now we're kind of waiting and we're being patient, but it's just kind of reached a plateau a little bit. And that's the vibe I'm getting for you guys, is maybe things are good, they're okay, they're not bad, but you have something better in mind. You have something that just keeps like tugging at your attention and kind of like wiggling away at the back of your mind that I feel like would be incredible for you guys to try and step towards. So I do think for the rest of 2022, you guys are going to be making some really big decisions. And I do feel like for a lot of you guys in this pile, you have free will, but you are going to be stepping into your destiny and leaving something behind, because we have 2 cards talking about that. So this would be like something that gets left in the past and then stepping towards something new. And I think that something new is going to be really amazing. It's going to be giving you guys everything you wanted. So I would say that my advice would be step towards this and stop trying to think it over and figure it out and get everything figured. Like, I think of all the important moments in my life and none of it was planned. It was always like a random accident where I wasn't supposed to meet someone, but I decided to go last minute and then, met a really close friend, or met a romantic partner in like an unexpected way where I wasn't even like, again, supposed to be there, but I showed up. And yeah, so I think a lot of the most amazing things in life, they can't really be planned out. We can't really be in our heads about it. We just have to trust that weird feeling that like, I should really go to that function tonight. And you're like, why would I go? I don't even like whatever is going on there. But you go anyway, and that's where the magic happens. So a lot of you guys need to be trusting for the rest of this year. And when you do, I think it's going to put you in this portal for amazing wealth and abundance that I do feel like might come in next year, like 2023. Maybe not for the rest of 2022, but it's going to put you on this track that's going to be really amazing, because the star can talk about it being a little bit off in the future. But I do feel like you guys are going to be stepping towards it. And I think this path you're on is going to help you reach it. Especially the sooner you step into it, the better, because I don't think it's going away. Spirit is telling me that this feeling they've been giving to you, it's been happening for a long time and it's not going to just suddenly leave. So I would say trust it, but let's get some more cards. So we got full moon in Libra, find a balance, last quarter moon in Leo, lighten up, and first quarter moon in Cancer, push through any insecurity. And I love that this shows an open road. So I feel like this is like this chance for you guys to step through this into this amazing new destiny, that this open path in front of you. You guys realizing that you don't have to be tied to whatever this situation is. Maybe you, like, again, I see see a lot of you guys trying to reason through it with your logical mind, and maybe you're like, you've done the pros and cons and you're like, well, this is a lot safer, I should stay with this. But what fun is safe? Like, that's why people love vacations, because you're in somewhere new and your senses are heightened. They've literally done studies, and when you work out in like a new location, like say you go for a run in a new part of town versus you just run through your same neighborhood every day, like way more of your brain is activated when you're in that new location. So as much as it might be scary, and we can focus on the scary aspects of trying something new and how we're leaving something behind, actually that's when we feel the most alive, we have the most fun, we are firing on all cylinders. And I feel like for you guys, this can be an amazing path if you look at it that way. If you welcome it with optimism and expecting it to go well, then it can be amazing. And Spirit really wants you guys to push through these insecurities that you've been feeling, because I really do feel like for some of you guys, this is somehow stepping into your power or the spotlight, and allowing yourself to be seen in a way maybe you weren't before. Maybe you like hold yourself back in life. It could be something like you really are supposed to start an Instagram or a YouTube or a TikTok, or put yourself out there really strongly in that way, some kind of social media or public platform. But for others of you, it might be a situation where you're kind of in the shadows for some reason, maybe social dynamics at your work or in your family or in your friend group. And Spirit is like, this is the time. You guys need to step into this. And for others of you, it can be a career change or something that you have just really wanted to do. Like you always wanted to open an Etsy shop about a certain hobby that you have. And it's like a small thing, but you kind of are like, why would no one would buy that? That's stupid. I feel like you guys are just going to have to stop being in your head about this and realize how amazing of an idea it is and how special and important you guys are. We also got last quarter moon in Leo, which is not a surprise to me, because I do feel like this is a call to realize your own worth, which is such Leo energy, and to step into the spotlight, which is also Leo. So maybe don't take it so seriously as well. I love that it says lighten up, because I think you guys are kind of like, I feel like you guys in this pile, you're taking it very seriously. You're going over all the points, all the data points, like you're making lists and you're trying to figure it out, and your mind is going a million miles an hour on this issue. And I think the best manifestation energy is just to be light. You know, Bruce Lee says, be like water. And that's a spiritual kind of idea that a lot of different schools of philosophy or religion have. And the reason why you're supposed to be like water is because water just goes where it needs to go. It just drifts, you know, wherever. Like, you don't control water. You can't direct water. Like, I want you to go exactly in there. Water, if you've ever spilled a glass of water, like, it goes all over the place. You can't control it, you know? But in that way, because it's malleable, adaptable, it's one of the most powerful forces in the universe. And I mentioned before that I've been to the Grand Canyon. And if you've never been, it's such an amazing experience. Truly, it always makes me emotional. Even seeing photos now of the Grand Canyon, I will get emotional. Because it's so amazing. And it really makes you realize just how, like, I don't know, there's something very spiritual about the depth, how deep it is. And it's just incredibly a spiritual place. And when you think about it, it was water that carved out the Grand Canyon. Human beings couldn't even build something like the Grand Canyon if we wanted to, if we tried to. It's funny when they'll compare like skyscrapers and stuff, they always compare them to like the Grand Canyon. And I think usually the Grand Canyon does pretty well with like the height comparison. That's how deep it is. And that was all done by water. Like, it would take human beings, like, I don't even know how long, to buy like the dynamite or explosives to clear something like that. I don't even know if it would be possible to clear it over the length of the Grand Canyon, because it's really long as well. But water did that. Water, something that just seems so innocuous, so easy. That's the power of water, and that's the power that happens when we kind of bring relinquish power and go with our water energy, our cup energy, our intuition, our spiritual side. And we go where we need to go. We flow where we need to flow. We don't try to fight against it. If we're being called to something, we listen. We don't push back or try to reason it out or try to explain to spirit, but like, I wanted something else. We just go with the flow. And so I feel like for a lot of you guys, stop panicking about this or being in your head about it and just trust it. Just trust that it's all going to work out, because I do feel spirit is very intimately involved in this process with you guys and definitely helping you strongly to get the best outcome out of this. But let's get some more cards. So we got the Dragon's Jewel, Inner Conflict, Morality, Conscious Choice, and the Shadow Queen, Acquiring Knowledge, Insecurity, Manipulation, and the Word Lord, Communication, Praise, Dishonesty. So I can see we have more cards about inner conflict. So that's obviously a major theme for you guys. And I think it's interesting how many of these things are about kind of thinking energy. Like the Word Lord is obviously someone who's highly intelligent, looks like he's writing. So again, I think you're being called to kind of move away from that a little bit, move away from, maybe you're usually in a place of, it's interesting that the Shadow Queen says manipulation and acquiring knowledge, because it's not like the most flattering idea of knowledge. And I think that's because like knowledge or the logical mind can sometimes be misleading. Like the number of times that I have trusted someone because, well, not to make it sound like I've had so many horrible relationships, but I mean, I feel like all of us, whenever we met someone who was sketchy to us or didn't treat us well, almost always our conscious mind turned on and was like, I don't like, or our unconscious mind, our subconscious thought, this person is weird, I don't really like them, I get a bad feeling. But then our conscious mind would turn on and say something like, oh, well, they've been really nice, or they've been really sweet. Well, they haven't done anything. Well, everyone else is friends with them, so it's probably fine. And that's where we get into trouble, because that conscious perception of things can be very misleading. The power is in trusting our deep intuition inside of us, that inner knowing that we had that never steers us wrong, that knows about things almost 100% of the time. I mentioned this about like food delivery because it's so stupid, but I get my groceries delivered, and every time when I get a bad feeling that I override, because usually it's like, at the last minute, I ran out of groceries and I just need to restock. So I'm like, screw it, I'm just going to order it anyway. And some of those times, like I can't even eat any of the food because it's not food I eat, since I'm organic and gluten-free. Or crazy mishaps will happen. And it's just so odd. And I'm like, how? But I had that feeling inside. I went against it because I wanted something else. And I think that when we try to when we are too much in our heads, when we allow our mind to run away from things, it can tell us all kinds of stories. And I think that that's why it says manipulation, dishonesty. Our conscious mind can be very dishonest to ourselves about different situations, not on purpose, but they read information that's like in the past, whereas spirit is reading information on a very deep level that has to do with the future. So I hope I'm making sense, but I just feel like there's so much reason for us to trust our intuition. And I feel like a lot of you guys are being called to leave behind this kind of doubtful energy where you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to get your head around everything, and just to be in an energy of trust, leaving behind the conflict and just going for it. Then I also think there's a message for you guys that possibly you're supposed to be communicating, putting yourself out there again. A lot of you guys are holding yourselves back, like you're not wanting to be in the spotlight in any way at all. You're letting other people kind of talk over you, when I feel like you guys have something so valuable to say, and you're the only one that can make that choice to speak up. No one else can do it for you. If people are speaking over you, then you need to raise your voice up. You need to speak. You need to be powerful about it. You need to trust that you have something important to say, because that's what it requires. Like no one can hear you when you're not speaking. So for a lot of you guys, you might be wondering like, well, why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't that happened? If you're not sharing yourself and you're not truly giving your gift to the world, then nothing can happen with it. That's another thing, is we receive back when we give. That's a really deep spiritual truth, is that giving to others, we receive back. So if something's not moving forward in your life, you might think about ways you can give. And for some of you guys, this is sharing your gift, sharing yourself with the world is actually a service. So I feel like you're really, again, being called to really step up to the plate with this, and that it's no longer kind of okay for you guys to just hide away. And I think that's going to become more and more apparent. So let's get some more cards as well. We got rest and rejuvenation, anxiety, not a surprise, door to spirit, and door to personal healing and happiness. So through this anxiety is healing and happiness and all the things you guys want. So don't mistake this time as like a bad time. I feel like some of you guys, it's almost like you've been sequestered away. Maybe you have been in hermit mode and you guys have been thinking a lot, going over certain things, having things from the past come up. And if that's the case, that's totally okay. I feel like you guys are being prepared for the future. But there's a difference between getting those spiritual downloads that are helpful and allowing our anxiety to run away, allowing the, well, what if this happens? Well, what if that doesn't happen? Well, if I do that, then this, blah, blah, blah. There's something so powerful about trusting and knowing that spirit has the wheel. As I always say, Jesus take the wheel, because that's the name of a country music song. And I just think it's funny. And so, yeah, like, and I love that tenet of letting spirit take over, letting spirit, it's very powerful, even though it's, I think, a funny song or like a funny thing people will say online. But it's a very deep spiritual truth that when we hand things over to spirit and we let spirit take it over, whatever religious background you might have, when we let spirit take the wheel and direct us, we're going to go to the best destination. There's going to be a lot more growth. And I feel like a lot of you guys just need to relax and trust the process and then be willing to step up to the plate, because whatever you've been doing, it feels like it's not going to work anymore. Spirit is demanding a lot more of you. So I think by the end of the year, you're just going to feel much more called to step into this. And if you do step towards it, I do see a lot of success and abundance coming in for you guys soon. In 2023, for you guys are on different timelines in this group, so it's hard to say exactly when it's going to happen for all of you, but I am seeing within 3 years. For sure, for everyone in this group, there's going to be big spiritual material changes for you where you're going to have the kind of life you imagined. And it just takes a little bit of that fear and uncertainty. I just saw an image of someone, like, you'll hear those stories of someone who is like a big celebrity and they say, oh, I moved to LA with like $200 in my little car and I had no idea of what I was doing and I didn't have a job, but I just trusted. I feel like that's the vibe that I'm getting. That's the energy. So if you feel called to do something big like that, take that as a spiritual moment for you that is so powerful. Let me get some astro dice as well. So we got Aquarius, we got the 9th house, and we got Venus. So Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is a very unexpected type of energy, and it can literally talk about sudden changes and shocking events. 11th house also has to do with technology. It also has to do with groups of people, large groups of people, can have to do with social media. So for a lot of you guys, I really feel like it's adding up to some kind of a thing of sharing yourself on social media. And you might be surprised by how many people gravitate towards you, how many people like you, how many people enjoy your stuff when you put yourself out there honestly. So yeah, I think either way though, this is going to be a bit of a surprise. And I think you should just I'm seeing someone getting strapped into a roller coaster. So I think you should just prepare yourself that, yeah, maybe you don't know what's going to happen next and maybe you can't predict it. And maybe it's supposed to be a little bit hidden from you for a reason, because it's going to be a surprise, but you're going to love it. And Venus is also an energy of wealth, abundance. It's also love. And that's the thing, is when we're honest about ourselves and when we're honest with each other, we can find the people that we really identify with and that truly are our kind of tribe that we're supposed to be with. And so I feel like for a lot of you guys, if you haven't been feeling aligned with the right kind of people in your life, maybe if you were to put yourself out there more honestly, you might find exactly the kind of people that you like. And I want to read a poem to you that I always bring up in my readings. It always seems to come up, by Shel Silverstein. So I'll just read it quickly. I have it like pulled up already. It says, "She had blue skin, and so did he. He kept it hid, and so did she. They searched for blue their whole life through, then passed right by and never knew." And so the point is that sometimes we hide ourselves away, our truest intentions of ourselves, our deepest selves, because we don't want to face that judgment from others. Like I was bringing up, it's funny how back in the day, I literally was always so into astrology and numerology and doing psychic stuff, not really knowing it, like psychic work for friends, but I wouldn't have called it that. But I was so, and I was always into this on so many levels. Like even in my school and stuff, I would write papers about this kind metaphysical stuff. I would work it into papers, but it's so funny because I would like hide it, and I was so embarrassed like to be into it. I don't know why. I just thought it was like this. I think a lot of my friends and people I knew were atheists, so they kind of thought it was like cringe that someone would, you know, be into these woo-woo subjects. So for me, it was this embarrassing thing that like, you know, I really had to hide away from like everyone in my life. And it's so funny now because obviously like I do this on YouTube. So you never really know. And I think when you're honest with others about who you are truly deep down to your core, you might be surprised by the amount of support you get, by how fulfilling it is, by how gratifying it can be just to be honest. And then you can align yourself with the right people. Because, you know, I think it would have been really cool if I'd been way more out there with it. And maybe then I wouldn't have, not that anything's wrong with atheists. And I've had many close atheist friends and partners, but I think it's also nice to find people who really understand and get what you're doing. And so maybe I would have found more of my tribe, you know what I mean, with this kind of a thing where you don't have to hide it. You don't have to be like, oh no, I'm not into that. You can just be like, yeah, I love it. And actually I could do your natal chart right now. And you can be totally upfront about it instead of kind of keeping those parts of your life separate from your friends, you know? So yeah, I think there's something so powerful about that. Now we have 9. And what's coming to my mind for that is that it is a house of travel, Sagittarius energy, Jupiter energy, which is also wealth. So again, we have 2 of the major benefics, wealth energy in the whole astrology, all of the planets. We have Jupiter and Venus, and when they combine, it's a powerful wealth energy. And so I really feel like this destiny path that you're going to be setting off on for 2022 is going to lead you guys to a ton of wealth and abundance and the things you guys have always dreamed of. But also what's coming to mind is that it might involve some kind of move either to a different location, or a different job, or just changing something big. It doesn't necessarily, I'm not getting a move for everyone in this pile. So take it how it resonates. But I feel like for some of you guys, this is about also just that travel energy, and Sagittarius energy is all about being bold, being unafraid, stepping into something brand new, the benefits of travel. And like I was mentioning, how they've literally found that when you travel somewhere new or work out somewhere new or go somewhere new, that different parts of your brain turn on and you become kind of more alive, more present. And so I think some of you guys, I just think you're focusing a lot on the fear aspect, on the like, oh God, I don't want to do this and I'm nervous. And what if this happens? What if that happens? When you should be focusing on the potential you have for experiencing the most amazing things. Just like when we set out on a trip or on a journey, or we're flying somewhere, there's a million risks that could happen. But also some of our most intense growth, the best blessings can happen. And when we broaden our horizons and are willing to step out the door and try that new type of cuisine that we never had from a culture that we don't know a lot about, but most of the time it's going to be delicious, right? Or when we're willing to step on that plane and fly somewhere where we don't know a soul and explore a new city. We learn so much. So I feel like this is the energy where you guys are setting off on something really bold, really exciting, and really amazing in 2022. But you guys have to be willing to take that step and be bold about it. And I think if you guys do, you're going to be surprised by how much of this anxiety goes away and you guys get accelerated to the kind of life you want, but you have to be bold about it. So yeah, I think like I said, 3 years time, this is going to be a very different energy. And I think even in 2023, especially for those of you guys who step towards this boldly and are just willing to take this journey, you're going to be having a very, very happy 2023 with a lot of your dreams coming true. So it's going to be a very different reading by the end of the middle of next year, where probably we're going to be talking about some way more exciting stuff even than this, even though this is already extremely exciting and amazing, but it's going to be even better. So yeah, I hope that resonated, pile 3. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you liked it, please make sure to give it a like, hit the thumbs up button. Also, let me know how it resonates. I love hearing from you guys in the comments. So definitely let me know. Make sure you subscribe as well and turn those notifications on so you find out as soon as I post next. And if you really liked this reading, you can also check out my Patreon where I post all my additional readings. I just posted an extended reading of What Makes You Sexy. So it's a great one to check out. It's a little more than we could put on YouTube because of all the rules, but it's a lot of fun and I have a ton of content over there. So check those out. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll be back very soon for another reading. So I will see you guys then. Take care. Bye. Hey pile 4, so if you guys picked this orange cake, this is going to be your reading. So on the top, there's a beautiful candied walnut, then a little slice of peach and a kiwi slice as well, then 2 shards of white chocolate and some beautiful icing piped on with the decorations. Then there's an orange glaze dripping down the side, so it looks like it's probably orange flavored. It looks so delicious. I would totally get this at like a patisserie or something. But anyway, let's get into your tarot. So you guys got the Devil reversed, the 9 of Wands reversed, 6 of Wands, the Knight of Cups reversed, the Knight of Wands reversed, the Hierophant, the Queen of Wands, and the King of Pentacles reversed. So pile 4, there's an amazing opportunity for you guys to have a really beautiful romance for the rest of 2022. I see someone who's incredibly charismatic coming in, going to be romantic and also have that sex appeal as well, being very full of life, full of charm, someone who's quite charming. And honestly, I feel like a lot of you guys are going to be swept away with this. There is a message with the Devil reversed that some of you guys though might have this energy a little bit blocked by something else going on in your life. It could be a connection to a past relationship that you can't get out of your mind and you're still very set on them and it's hard for you to move on. Or it could even be like an oppressive familial figure in your life or something like that. Someone who might control the money even, or try to prevent you from having this kind of a thing. They might have a very like traditional view of things with the Hierophant being reversed, and stepping outside of this would kind of be you stepping out of some kind of traditional structure. But I feel like for you guys, this would be a really amazing experience. And honestly, it might really help you to see things differently. Sometimes when we have parents or an old relationship or anyone in our life that is demanding a ton of our emotional energy, we can end up passing up on projects or things that would be really amazing for us. And that's just what I don't want to see happen for pile 4. Hopefully, a lot of you guys will just be able to bypass that and go straight to this beautiful relationship. But for some of you guys, there might need to be work done or things thought of things that are holding you back, or people who wouldn't feel fully comfortable with you guys moving on. If you felt like there's a little bit of an anchor attached to your feet and there's someone that wants you to kind of stay in the same energy, in the same place, they don't want you to move forward, then I feel like that's something for you guys to really consider. Like, why am I being held back? How does this benefit me? Is this something that I really enjoy in my life and that I really want to keep going? Because I feel like you guys are going to be looking extra beautiful, extra amazing, honestly, really glowed up with the Queen of Wands. So you guys are going to be attracting a lot of attention and focus this rest of this 2022 year. A lot of people are going to be noticing how beautiful and sexy you guys are, and you might have a lot of potential for romantic relationships. So the only warning I'm going to give you guys is if there is someone or something in your life holding you back where you feel like if the romance of a lifetime stepped into your life, you wouldn't be able to fully embrace it because of someone that takes a lot of your emotional energy, then I think you should consider that, because it is your life. You only get like one lifetime, right? I mean, not really, not in our beliefs, not in my beliefs, but each lifetime is a really important gift that we need to use to the fullest. And we don't want to waste our time living for someone else, someone else's idea of things, holding ourselves back, being afraid to be fully glowed up into our highest vibrational energy because it might make someone else uncomfortable. Maybe they don't feel as confident, or they need to like rely on you to stick around them, to help them, or to give them attention. And you might be surprised that when you actually do an audit of like your life, your texts, your emotional energy, some of you guys in this pile might be surprised by how much energy you give to a certain situation that really isn't serving you and really doesn't give you anything or help you with anything. And a lot of you guys might want to really reconsider that and think about making some of those changes so that you're able to embrace this beautiful relationship that I do feel like wants to come in for you, that I think you guys would be swept away and it would feel really amazing. You would truly enjoy this relationship a lot. There would be a lot of passion here, a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, but I am seeing some of you guys are blocking it just because of the situational factors in your life. And I think you should kind of take a higher, like a look over that. Take an accounting of your life and how much time you're spending on different things, and whether you're truly energetically open to this. And if you are, I think this is going to be a really great relationship. This person is probably a smooth talker, probably very charismatic and attractive. Yeah, I feel like a lot of you guys, this person is going to be very flirty, very like laying on the charm thick. And maybe because of that, some of you guys might at first be like, oh, they're a player, or they're not really that interested in me. Maybe you think that they're probably that way with everyone. So you might try to block it out a little at first. But I do feel like however this relationship ends up, because it is a general reading. So some of you guys, this could be a soulmate. For some of you guys, this could be, a fling that only lasts a small amount of time. But I do feel like either way, you grow a lot from this relationship. And the growth I'm seeing is specifically in regards to independence, to you guys really finding your own identity. And maybe something about this relationship helps you step outside. Sometimes I think those ill-fated twin flame relationships, and I'm not saying this is one of the ill-fated twin flame vibes, so don't get too worried. But sometimes those kinds of relationships where you really like the person, you really care about them, but it doesn't work out, it can really urge you to do shadow work, to take an accounting of your life and start parsing over like, why do I act this way? Or why was I afraid of commitment? Or what went wrong in this? What did I do? What did they do? And sometimes you make necessary changes to your life as a result. And for some of you guys, I'm seeing you being held back by this devil figure where maybe there's a situation where you feel tied to it for some reason. Like, I can't date because my family would be really upset with me because they want me to marry this kind of a person and this person is outside of that realm. Or maybe I can't date because I have a really demanding job and I cannot leave. I'm so tied to my job. My boss is calling me every hour of every day and they're taking all my energy, so I don't have time to date. Or I have a friendship and it's very kind of codependent. And if I was to start this amazing relationship and be very focused on that my partner would be, or not partner, my friend would be jealous. But it might even feel like you're a partner, even though you're platonic friends, because that's how much emotional energy you're pouring into it. And I think it's really important for you guys in pile 4 to think about what you're getting out of a relationship and what you're giving, how much of your time you're giving. I think the best thing to do is to do that audit early, because the worst thing is when you kind of let a situation drag on. You know it's not really in your best interest, but for some reason you don't want to cut them off. You feel bad. It's always been like that. So you feel like you don't have a choice. So you just keep staying in it, and could be a parent who wants you to call them every single day, all the time, and constantly is taking that kind of emotional labor from you, so you don't have time to focus on other things. Maybe it's a parent who's kind of lonely, or who has always kind of relied on their kids to give them their identity, and they don't want to see you go off and fly on your own. And it's not necessarily always someone with bad intentions, but I'm just getting some of you guys need to break out of some oppressive structure that's preventing you from entering your highest level of yourself, where you can really live a full life for you. Because I feel like a lot of you guys, this love relationship that wants to come in, there's like this fear and reticence. There's this feeling of like, I don't want to fully take this risk, and maybe I'll get hurt. And also just logistical things, or a feeling of loyalty, a feeling like you can't betray someone, or that this would take too much of your time. It's like you want this kind of relationship, but then actually when it starts to come in for you, you kind of run away from it. So whatever this is, that is this kind of devil role that is preventing this love from being able to take its full form in your life, I feel like you guys definitely need to do the work to kind of prune it out, just like you would weed a garden when it becomes overgrown with like dandelions or whatever. You need to go through and take out the stuff that's not supposed to be there, and that is preventing you from coming into full bloom. Because I feel like a lot of you guys, you've wanted this kind of love, maybe you've dreamt of this kind of love, but there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of like indecision and conflicted feelings when it starts to come in. And it does involve, for some reason, breaking out of some kind of expectation or some kind of norm. So it could be someone who's unconventional, or someone that you wouldn't usually date, or someone that might look a little different from you or from your usual type. There's something about that that's like pushing the boundaries, or maybe just the fact that you're dating would push boundaries with certain people. It could also be like I said, an ex, like you're feeling very loyal to an ex and you don't want to betray them by moving on. But I feel like the message is that it's your life. It's your time to choose what you want. And other people don't get to have a say, right? Like they can give their opinion, they can give their input, but if you want something like this, if you want some exciting connection and some like beautiful, exciting energy flowing into your life, and someone doesn't like it, then they can choose to have that not be in their life, and that's fine. But it's your life to live, and I feel like you guys need to be empowered to choose exactly what you want, and to be not afraid to like put yourself out there as well, because we got the 6 of Wands. We got the Queen of Wands. So I feel like there's a very fiery energy with you for the rest of the year, where you guys are looking really good. And I feel like Spirit is saying you're going to be like looking amazing. A lot of people are going to be noticing you. A lot of people are going to be celebrating you. And I just want you guys to be fully okay with that and not shying away from it. Maybe if you are a fire energy, you're like, oh, I already checked that off. Don't worry, it won't be a problem. But for some of you in this pile, I feel like you kind of want that. You kind of get excited for it. But when it happens, then you like shy away, or you run away from it, or you get nervous, or you start thinking like it's too good to be true. So there's kind of the options here where you can really lean into it, or you can kind of block it out. These are reversed. So I feel like it's up to you to decide whether you want to welcome this kind of new lifestyle in. I'm feeling like some of you guys might be changing up your lifestyle for the rest of 2022, where you're a lot busier and you might have a lot more activity. You might be going out more, going out to like clubs, nightclubs, restaurants, bars, making yourself seen, having a really fun. If you've been kind of stuck inside, as I think so many people have been since 2020, or you guys have been just kind of working away, then I feel like this is going to be a definite change for you, and your life is going to get a lot busier in the rest of 2022, and you're going to have a lot more activities. You're going to be doing things and going out and putting yourself out there. And I just don't want you guys, honestly, it also could be like a past trauma or something, like a relationship that didn't work out. And then you convinced yourself that, like, I'm just bad at relationships, I'm horrible at them, I'm never going to date again, or some traumatic event. Honestly, it could be, yeah, something really traumatic that made you guys kind of hold yourself back from this, from like the flow of life. And Spirit is saying, why are you doing that? Because you have just as much of a right to have a beautiful, vibrant, fun life as anyone else. So if your life isn't looking like that, then why? And it's at the end of the day, like, of course, like, really horrible things happen, and it's not to negate that or just be like, get over it. But I think it's empowering to know that at any choice, at any moment, we can make the choice to move ourselves out of that energy. We don't have to stay focused on it and fixated on it for the rest of our life. And that, I think, can be one of the worst things of trauma, is the way it kind of keeps us stuck in the past, keeps us stuck in that moment. And that's really why it's such an awful thing, is because it takes away people's kind of potential for like this full, vibrant life. So I like to encourage people to know that, like, at any point you can choose to get over it. You don't have to carry that with you forever. You can just choose. And I know I'm simplifying it a lot by saying choose to get over it, because that makes it sound like it's just a snap of a fingers, which we know it's not. But I think we can choose to assess it, to try to work through it. And we can choose that we're not gonna, sometimes it's just that moment of taking action that does a lot of the work, like deciding to get dressed up and go out, deciding to shift the energy that's hanging around us. Sometimes it's as easy as saging our space and taking a spiritual bath, and then throwing open the doors and allowing new energy to flow in, or burning some really positive incense so that some positive energy flows in. But like, we are in control of our lives. And to me, that's a very empowering message, that like, I'm not going to be stuck in a situation forever. So I feel like you guys need to know that you have this power, that you're the Queen of Wands, and that you can choose to leave whatever energy is keeping you back from this behind. Because I feel like a lot of you guys would be really happy with a very busy life where you're very engaged and you're doing a lot. And I do see that as a major option for everyone who picked this pile. I feel like it is a huge option for you guys, where you can have like a very busy lifestyle where you're going from here to there and going out and having fun, and you feel very invigorated, and you feel like you're just like your life is full of things, and it's just such a fun, exciting time for you. And there's this romantic opportunity, there's possibly multiple romantic opportunities, and partially it's removing yourself from these ties from the past, or like, even it could be memories. I'm hearing that song, Memories Like the Corners of My Mind, of like another time in your life, or some kind of loyal emotional tie you have to something, or you don't want to like betray this situation by moving on. But you need to know that you're not betraying, and you don't owe anyone anything. And if someone is kind of trying to hold you back, then that's not good. You know, that's kind of karmically bad. That does go against some karmic laws. So it's not something you should pay attention to or listen to. You should be focusing on, how do I make my life the most vibrant it can be? And I feel like a lot of you guys in pile 4 are going to be making that choice. And if you are already doing that, then you're definitely going to be having a really fun rest of 2022, going out a lot, enjoying yourself, having a blast. And if you're on the fence about that, then I vote do it. I vote step into this new life, have some fun, indulge yourself. Let's get some more cards. So we got first quarter moon in Sagittarius, believe in your good luck. First quarter moon in Capricorn, unleash your kindest self. And last quarter moon in Aquarius, reflect on your priorities. So a lot of fire energy, by the way, just coming through the whole reading. So Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius, you guys might be having those signs, or they might be prominent in your chart, or that's just the energy around you guys right now. But I do feel like with Sagittarius coming in, you know, there is an energy of good luck and of disruption. And Sagittarius is such a brave sign. It is related to travel. And what I love about Sagittarius is it's very intellectual, but it's a fire sign. So it's very bold. It's willing to step forward and try new things. And so I feel like some of you guys, you have been cocooning yourself, and you need to you need to know that like you are ready. You are ready to get out there. You are ready to get out of your cocoon. And I feel like you guys are going to be presented with a lot of opportunities for the rest of 2022 to go out, to explore, to meet new people. And I just want you guys to say yes. I want you to do things that make you a little uncomfortable. If it makes you uncomfortable, if you're in this pile 4, you guys should take it as a sign that you should do it. If it makes you nervous, obviously I'm not saying do anything super risky or crazy or that puts you in real jeopardy or anything like that. But if it makes you a little nervous in a good way and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this, that's a good thing, because you guys might have been in your comfort zone for a really long time. And I see this as the caterpillar inside its little, what is it called? Like a little chrysalis? Is that the name for it? The little bag thing that they go into while they're turning into a butterfly, and it's ready to open up and you're ready to emerge and get out into the world. So I feel like if you've been in hermit mode, reflecting, doing this shadow work, then this is a really exciting period, and your rest of 2022 is going to be very busy and you're going to be doing a lot. But some of you guys definitely do need to, as we covered, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but reflect on the priorities and reflect on your life. And if you're funneling all your attention and all your energy into a situation that's not reciprocal, like someone who's a taker, sometimes it's a good thing to go through your old texts or go through old emails and see how many people that take up all your attention. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you'll realize that like you've sent someone so many texts or so many emails and they've really used up a lot of your emotional energy. And it's like, think of how much energy it takes constantly to be helping someone out in a certain situation or giving to someone. And if you're not getting that back, or if your energy could be directed somewhere else, then that's something you need to do, because energy, it's not finite. We can make more, but it does take effort. And if your energy is always having to be directed towards a certain situation that isn't making you happy, then it's time to take that energy back and reassess and not be afraid. Some of you guys in this pile need to know that it's okay if you need to cut someone off. It's okay. You need to get that permission. So there it is. Take it from me. It is okay to cut people off. Sometimes that's the absolute best thing you can do and the kindest thing. And with first quarter moon in Capricorn, unleash your kindest self. What's coming to mind for you guys is maybe some of you guys have been too kind to people who don't deserve it, to friends or relationships or people in your life who have taken from you, and you need to be kind to yourself now. You need to be kind to you and think about yourself as a priority, that you're not just some handmaiden for someone else's life. You're actually your own main figure and your own main character. And if someone can't see that or can't respect that or expects you to make yourself secondary to their life and their story, then that's a big red flag and probably not something you should be funneling any more attention into. So for you guys, I really feel like the rest of 2022 is about really putting yourself first in every way, making sure that you feel fulfilled in your relationships. Not to say that you're going to suddenly become the taker, but it's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to look out for yourself and to give yourself permission to really pick and choose what in life will make you happy. So if that's doing something crazy, like, I don't know, moving to a different country or starting a new job or, just doing something crazy, going on a road trip across your country and stopping at little roadside diners and ordering chili at each diner and doing a taste comparison or something crazy. Like, do it, because life is short. And I feel like this can be an amazing rest of 2022 for you, where you guys have experienced so much travel. You definitely have this travel energy. So I think you need to take the bull by the horns and really make sure you're letting yourself experience it fully, not letting anyone else's ideas. And also, some of this could be ideas people have put in your mind about respectability. Like, it could have been that you have a family that tells you that, everyone who's a success is in this kind of a job, and that kind of a job is not respectable. But you really want that kind of a job. You would love that. If that's what your soul is calling you to do, then I think you guys are really going to be emboldened to do it. And I want you guys to step forward to it and unpack these beliefs. Where did they come from? Are they yours? Are they your beliefs? like I remember, just this is stupid, but my mom told me she didn't like a certain color growing up, and I just always hated that color. And anytime I would see that color on like clothing, I would be like, oh, I'm not gonna get that, like, even if I really liked the item. And I'm sure she probably didn't even, like, I think she must have mentioned it once. And it's so funny how it stuck in my mind though. And then how I like made decisions of clothing and other things based on this one color she didn't like. And now that I'm an adult, I remember I was buying something and it was that color, and I was like, oh, I feel really like nervous. I feel like I'm being really bold by buying this, but I just loved the shape of the blouse and stuff. So I decided to get it. And I felt like this little rebel. And then I thought, this is so funny. I'm sure she wouldn't even remember making this comment to me. It was such a like small throwaway comment, but it's so funny how those things stick in our mind, right? And it's so stupid. It's such a silly thing. And it's so funny though how we absorb this stuff from our parents. So I think it's really important to investigate and analyze for ourselves whether we're living the life for ourselves, our own choices, how we really feel. Maybe you really love that color. Maybe you just never allowed yourself to like fully process it. And obviously that's a metaphor for whatever in your life. It could be anything, but our identities can often be shaped by our parents growing up because so much of our life revolves around them. But the joy of becoming an adult is realizing you get to choose whatever you want. And it's your life. It's not your parents. It's not anyone else's. It's not your friends. It's not your teachers. It's not your bosses. It's not your partners. It's your life. And so a lot of you guys, I think, are going to be stepping into that energy of independence and empowerment and really choosing for yourself. So let's get more cards. We got the Phoenix, Resurrection, Surrender to Change, the High Lady of Love and Compassion, Reverence, Kindness, Consideration, the Spiral Dancer, Circuitous Route, Perception, and the Fire Prince, Optimism, Aggression. So I think you have a lot of fire energy coming through. I think you guys are supposed to be very fiery and bold about this energy in your life, in this season of your life for the rest of 2022. You're supposed to step towards it with a lot of passion, strength, energy, and not be afraid, not be living in the past or nervous or whatever. You're supposed to. Also, some of you guys need to hear this message that if you have had things delayed, or if you thought you would be doing a certain thing at the age you're at, then you need to know that everything is on schedule, everything is on track. Maybe you took the circuitous route where you went around the kind of scenic route, the long way, instead of going straight directly there, but you will get there. And some of you guys really need to know that. And even if maybe the decision that you're thinking of taking would feel like a circuitous route. Such a mouthful to say that word every time, but maybe it would feel like, okay, I'm not heading towards my destination. But there's multiple ways to get there, and you guys are going to get there. And if you knew you would always end up at your destination, at what you wanted, at the thing you're trying to manifest, how would you then choose to live your life? For so many people who are just chained to their desk and they really dislike their job, they really don't have a happy life outside of work or whatever, those people probably would not be living that way if they knew that everything was going to turn out okay. Right? They would probably step towards something a lot more fun, fill their days with a lot more fun and excitement. I told this story to another pile. I can't remember which, but you might have felt drawn to multiple piles then in that case. I think it was pile 2, but of Martha Stewart. I was listening to her on a podcast and they asked her about her biggest regret. And she said, I was thinking she was going to say something with business because, she's such a huge businesswoman, but she said that her biggest regret over her whole life was not her divorce or anything like that. It was when she went public on the New York Stock Exchange with Martha Stewart Living, which became a $1 billion company. She instantly became a billionaire that day when it opened. And so she was driving, her driver was driving her down Fifth Avenue to go back to Connecticut. And she remembered thinking, I could buy literally anything in this store right now. I could buy anything I wanted on any of these stores. Like, I have that much money right now. And she said she wished she would have gotten out and done that and but purchased so many things, so many antiques that she wanted, so many items that she wanted. And then the host asked her why she didn't do it. And she said, it was because, oh, I was worried about the price, and it just seemed really extravagant, and it just seemed kind of irresponsible to spend that much money. So I didn't do it. But the funny thing is all those items would have actually appropriated anyway, so they'd be worth even more now. But that's beside the point. I think the point is that so many people, they just think about what they should do rather than what their heart is telling them. And I thought it was really funny that of all the regrets she could have named, the regret she had was not kind of living her life to the fullest in that way and fully processing what was going on in her life in the moment and taking advantage of it. Instead, again, she told herself this script of like, you're supposed to be doing this, and it's irresponsible if you do that. And that idea of like respectability, responsibility, I have to act this way, I have to live this way, I think is one that pervades so much of our minds collectively. And so I feel like for you guys, it's like, think about, that moment when, it's kind of sad to think about, but if life is limited and finite, we want to think about using every moment and living it to the fullest and living a life that is going to be happy in that moment, regardless of the achievements, regardless of those big moments. What about our personal fulfillment? But let's get more cards. We got woman holding a heart and man holding a heart and the sun. So again, with the fire energy and also this romance vibe, a lot of you guys are going to be having exciting romances. And I'm hearing for some of you guys, it's been delayed for a long time. You haven't had forward momentum or trajectory in that sector of your life. So it's going to be really exciting for you to have some movement with that again. And I just want you guys to be energetically open. I'm not saying you have to run off and marry this first person who comes around, but just be open to it. Even if it's a fling, like, or just a flirtation or something. I think a lot of you guys, it's like you deserve this, and it's been a long time coming, and you deserve to have someone sweep you off your feet and really have fun with it. So just allow yourself to kind of be swept away with it, because that's the beauty of life. Even if we get our heart broken, right? It's like, what do the French call it? Le douleur exquise. Excuse my butchering of the French accent, but they call it the exquisite pain. So it's like, that is the pain of having your heart broken, or of love, is, it's a beautiful thing at the same time as it hurts. So don't be afraid. And I'm not saying you guys are going to break up or anything. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, since it's a general reading, just knowing that you'll always be okay is so crucial in life. So let me get some final astrodice, and you got the sun. This is going to be a really great season for you guys. Wow. First house, Taurus, and Mercury. So with the first house, that is about the self. It is about the self. It's Aries energy. Aries is selfish, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It's thinking about me. And that's a very important energy for us to have. That's why the sun is actually exalted in Aries, is because we're supposed to be focused on ourselves in this lifetime, as much as we're all connected, and it's good to view ourselves as a collective and do good to others. But at the end of the day, our journey is with ourselves, for ourselves. So don't let anyone make you feel like you have to be always looking out for others or sacrificing yourself for someone else, because that's just not good and it's not healthy. So a lot of you guys, this is about what will feel good to you. And if no one else agrees with it or likes it, cool, they can live their life how they want. But this is really about you making that life and those choices. And, Aries is so unapologetic, so bold. They just go towards what they want to do. And if someone has a problem, they don't care at all. And I love that about Aries. So again, maybe be a little more selfish is the vibe for you guys. Mercury rules over Virgo and Gemini. So I think for some of you guys, this is about parsing over your life, really sorting through it and choosing and taking out the things that aren't working for you, but really taking an analytical look at things and not being afraid to kind of parse things over with a fine-tooth comb and see what's working and what isn't. And taking a look at it, because so much of the time we just kind of get into these relationships and they just kind of roll on and just keep going, and we don't really take an active role in really examining them. And I feel like some of you guys need to pay attention to what you're giving, what you're getting, and really being kind of like you would do your taxes. You would go through and you would very much calculate all the expenses, all the input and everything, down to a penny. And that's kind of what you guys need to do with this. Then we have Taurus, aka the second house, and there is strong Venus energy for you guys, romantic energy coming in. And also what I love about Taurus is it's about overall enjoyment of life, physical pleasures of all kinds, taste, sensual pleasures, all the five senses, enjoyment of life, physical beauty. So getting yourself into a place where you feel good, feel beautiful, feel sexy. You guys are going to be looking beautiful, but also like a surroundings or a vibe or a situation where you feel happy, where you're getting pleasure out of the situation is, I think, what your guides are asking you to do for the rest of 2022. So you guys have kind of some homework to do in this pile, but I think the rest of 2022 is going to be particularly amazing for you guys. And you're going to have an exciting year. And I'm hearing especially next year is going to be very exciting based on the work and the kind of setup you guys are creating in the rest of 2022. So I hope that resonated. Pile 4. Thank you guys so much for watching. If it did resonate, please leave it a thumbs up, hit the like button, and also let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. So let me know your thoughts and make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you find out as soon as I post. And if you really like this reading and want to see more of my readings, then check out my Patreon where I post all my additional content. I just posted an extended reading of What Makes You Sexy with all the kind of fun stuff we can't really talk about on YouTube. So it's a really fun one to watch, and we have a lot of extra content there running the gamut from really serious to more of the lighthearted vibes. So check that out at my Patreon, link in my description for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be back very soon for another reading. So I will see you guys then. Bye.